35th District, whether it's Mason Transit, whether it's Kitsap County, Thurston County. Certainly talk routinely with Senator Sheldon, who serves on the commission, with Chair Jeffries, and and obviously this is being brought up by Commissioner Netherland. I just, this is not a good way to develop a relationship by saying that they've had to hire somebody because we don't talk. That just is not the case. And so this insinuation that somehow Representative Griffey and I don't communicate just is not accurate. I think think there's better ways that we can work through things than.
McEwen added that he's done a check of his email and noticed he's never received an email from Commissioner Netherland, but that McEwen has emailed him. The city of Shelton plans to get the message across with new electronic community reader boards on the north and south ends of Olympic Highway leading into the city. The city commissioners on Tuesday night agreed to locate electronic billboards next to the Overlook Park turnout at Olympic Highway South and at a site coming into Shelton on Olympic Highway North within about 300 feet of East Wallace-Neeland Boulevard. The signs were donated by the Mason County Public Utility District to replace the old street banners PUD installed for years across the highway. The signs will post upcoming events and scroll other information. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Yeah, hey, Art, how you doing?
Okay, sir.
I got a quick story. I was in California, and I was basically babysitting my mom's apartment. She had taken a week vacation to Las Vegas,
right.
And I was laying on the couch watching TV, and she had a big mirror on the mantle above the fireplace, and I had the sliding glass door shut. There was no wind, and the mirror flew off about 3 or 4 feet, and it scared the heck out of me.
Midnight in the Desert, live from 9 to midnight on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Is your family doing some growing? Whether it's an expansion of your home or the addition of a new family car, Peninsula Credit Union can provide fast, friendly service with terrific rates. We offer personal lines of credit, affordable auto loans, and a variety of home loan options to get you moving. Visit our offices in Shelton, Belfair, Paulsbo, Port Orchard, and Port Townsend, or go online to pcfcu.org. At Peninsula Credit Union, our priority is you.
Another Warriors win. West Virginia and Michigan State fall. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. In Chicago, looking up at all those championship banners in the United Center, Warriors guard Stephen Curry focused on one, the 72-win banner from the 95-96 Bulls team. Aiming for that record, Golden State improved to 39-4 last night.
Curry hook pass to Clay. Left side, his three. That's good. And the Warriors have blown this wide open again.
On KNBR, Warriors spanked the Bulls 125-94. Curry scored 25. Derrick Rose 29. And Dallas Mavs and T-Wolves went to overtime.
Up the right side to Parsons, left to Matthews, back to Parsons, drives on Muhammad, hanging, banking, scoring.
On KESN, Mavericks take it 106-94 without Dirk Nowitzki. Chandler Parsons 30 points. Rookie Karl Anthony Towns 27 points, 17 boards. DeMarcus Cousins rattled the Lakers with 36 points and 16 rebounds.
Wide open, Cassidy for three, misses it badly. Grabbed by Cousins, back up, back in, and he's fouled. DeMarcus Cousins.
On KHTK, Sacramento over the Lakers 112-93. The Kings have won 3 straight and 6 of 9. College hoops, number 6 West Virginia losing at home last night.
Nancy to Lammert for three. The lefty got it. Big 3-ball for Connor Lammert.
On ESPN, Texas, a 56-49 winner in Morgantown. Number 11 Michigan State lost at home to Nebraska.
6 on the shot clock. In the paint, the jump hook. Got it! Shalon Fields hits it to get Nebraska the 4-point lead. 16 seconds to go.
On the Huskers IMG Sports Network, Nebraska 72-71 as the Spartans suffer its 3rd straight loss. To the NFL, the Buffalo Bills making history by hiring Catherine Smith as the first full-time female member of an NFL coaching staff. ESPN Bills reporter Mike Rodak.
It's going to be a lot of film breakdown. It's what a lot of quality control coaches do. I would assume she'd have some duties on game day, too, that might not be fully developed right now.
Australian Open, Andy Murray, Stan Wawrinka, and Victoria Azarenka advanced to the 3rd round. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
Well, good morning. I'm Jeff Slakey for iFIBER ONE Newsradio with sports. Carol along with Daybreak. We'll check the weather in just a moment. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Last night at the Mini Dome, Wilson went on a 9-0 run to start the contest as the Rams blew by the High Climbers last night, 73-27. Star junior Jose Matz was the player of the game for Wilson, finishing with a game-high 25 points. Star post player Kiara Knox checked in with 17, and freshman Timberware led all scorers for Shelton with 13. The Lady High Climbers will look for a big road win as they take on Central Kitsap this Friday. Sean Wells will be in at 8:30 to talk about this week's sports events and what's on deck for the weekend. In men's college basketball, Andrew Andrews scored 25 of his 33 points in the second half. Marquise Chris added 17, and Washington stayed on top of the Pac-12 conference standings with a 95-83 win over Colorado Wednesday night. Seattle Sounders have bolstered their midfield before the start of training camp by signing veteran Michael Farfan. The Sounders announced Farfan signing Wednesday, 2 days before players report to the start of camp. Additionally, the Seattle Sounders have announced a significant club event for today, with all indications pointing towards the signing of Stanford star Jordan Morris. Sounders did not reveal of the announcement for today, but Morris's MLS rights are owned by Seattle. He was a homegrown player, played for the Sounders Academy. Earlier this week, which adds a little more credence to him being signed, he turned down an offer to play for Werder Bremen in Germany. The German club announced the decision, says he saw his future in America. So this 21-year-old junior forward had a pair of goals to lead Stanford over Clemson 4-0 for its first NCAA men's soccer title this past December. Coincidentally, also his dad, Dr. Michael Morris, is the medical director for the Sounders. Checking the scoreboards, boys high school basketball, Timberline 89, Yelm 73. Girls high school basketball, North Thurston over Capital 45-42. Timberline over Yelm. And in boys swimming, Gig Harbor 123, Shelton 65. Tonight on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, Gonzaga basketball at 7:40. They'll be taking on St. Mary's. And now with a check of the forecast, here's Carol.
Good morning. It's 43. It's rainy today and tonight. We might get another inch of rain today. Tomorrow looks like light rain early, then remaining cloudy in the afternoon with a thunderstorm possible. Saturday, rain again early and a mix of sun and clouds in the afternoon. Sunny might be a little bit better in the morning, clouds and sun, and then it's just sort of a cloudy afternoon. The chance of rain is only about 20% on Sunday. Right now, it's 43.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
6:14 on a Thursday morning, and a good Thursday to you. Jeff and Carol here. Hi, Carol.
I'm doing good for a Thursday morning. You?
We all fine. Thank you. Raining out there. We've got some great guests in studio today at 8:15. Arlen Morris will be in to talk about the Inquiring Minds series on Harstein Island, which is forthcoming. They usually have 3 or 4 speakers that come, and some of these talks the topics are just simply amazing. And we'll talk about the first speaker that's coming up shortly. What's the title of this? You have it here on our new odds and ends section.
Yes, it's Defending Your Voice, Teaching Soldiers How to Tell the Stories. And the speaker will be Sean Wong.
Oh,
he's an author and etc. And Arlen will tell us all about it. So
very nice.
Sounds very interesting.
So you can find that under the entertainment tab now. You'll see movie showtimes and odds and ends. Those are kind of our feature-ish stories that we're trying to put on there. Or
they're sort of our odds and ends. They're not. I mean, they're stories that I want to get lost in the website. So go check that out.
Sean Wells with sports at 8:33, and there's been some movement in the conferences for high school sports, meaning where people land in their conferences and their divisions. Some real interesting things have been happening lately, and so we'll talk with Sean about that. And we focus on Shelton at 8:45 today with Central Mason Fire and EMS's Mike Patty, also the city's fire marshal. Always a fun time talking with Mike Patty. Some of the stories on iFIBER1Newsradio.com this morning. Marilyn Foster is talking about it in the news. City to install electronic LED signs at a couple different locations around town. They'll be able to, people will be able to read new messages that'll be posted on there, thanks to the PUD for providing those. I remember the back and forth and trying to get these things going. And finally, the PUD, I think, said, okay, here, we're just going to give it to you. We'll do everything. I guess eventually I may have to pay the bill, but
well, actually, I think it has to be a gift because it's not really in the realm of the PUD. But all that information's in the story that Jeff True actually wrote, attending the meetings.
Justin Holsgrove, who's with the PUD, says the cost of these structures built by PUD and the electronic signs amounts to a donation of about $25,000 to the city. So find that full story on iFIBER1Newsradio.com. There's some other good ones under the regional tab, which we'll share after the break with Westwood One's NFL Now segment, Championship Series this Sunday. We've got it for you. Coverage starts at 11 Sunday. First game, New England, Denver. After that, it's Arizona, Carolina.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER1 News Radio.
I'm Ari Wolf with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Buffalo Bills announced on Wednesday that Catherine Smith has been named the Quality Control Special Teams coach. Smith is the first female to be named to a full-time coaching position in NFL history. Smith had been working in a football administrative role and has assisted the assistant coaches for years. She spent 12 seasons working for the New York Jets. Smith originally began her career in 2003 as a Jets game day special events intern. Panthers running back Jonathan Stewart did not practice on Wednesday after sustaining an ankle injury in the second half of Carolina's divisional round victory over the Seahawks. Championship Sunday kicks off at 3:05 p.m. Eastern in the AFC when the defending Super Bowl champion Patriots travel to Denver to take on the Broncos. Then at 6:40 p.m. Eastern, the Arizona Cardinals face off against the Carolina Panthers for the NFC crown. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Call Quicken Loans now to see if you qualify for the government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. And for 6 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction. And for the second year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN or visit QuickenLoans.com.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Last night, Cheryl Loggy made her status. Any moms out there know a good stroller for twins? Help! It got 10 likes and 8 comments. Geico also has a comment, Cheryl. While we don't know which stroller you should go with, we do know that in as little as 15 minutes, you can save hundreds of dollars on your car insurance just by switching to Geico. And with that money, you can buy the swankiest of rides for your tiny duo to cruise around in. Right on down to Potty Training Town. Hashtag twins, hashtag savings.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom31.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom31.com. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom31.com.
iFIBER1 News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
.620 here on a Thursday morning, and a good Thursday to you.
Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Carol.
Just get up this early and, do your stuff.
I didn't even get out on my walk this morning. It was so rainy, and the dogs will go out and do their whatever they need to do just in the front lawn, and then they just turn right around and right back in. So I did not continue on today. Normally I do, unless there's a lot of rain, and Winston is very, he's very tiny, so he's closer to the ground, so he gets wet, I think, a little more, and he's got sensitive feet, so.
Oh, well, I heard, and I'll have to do some research on this, because obviously I'm just sort of talking out of my hat.
Sure.
If you just get outside or just sit in your back porch, drink your coffee for 10 minutes, you're outside breathing the fresh air, because we spend so much time indoors in our car, and then we're at work. And then we go home, especially during the rainy season. But if you sit in your porch, you don't get your rain on you. You're sitting outside, you're just breathing the fresh air, drinking your coffee.
And you think that's good enough to get out there and kind of get the...
Not good enough, but if you can't walk, then you should just hang out outside for a while.
I wonder what my neighbors would think.
Well, what about a back porch? Do you have a back porch?
I don't have a covered back porch.
Oh, that's a project for you.
It's not a project for me, but
Stephanie's been wanting one.
I know she has. But if I sit out front, first off, I'm out walking the dogs at 4:00 in the morning. Cars drive by all the time, I'm sure, wondering what's going on here.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if I were to just sit out front at 4 in the dark, drinking my coffee.
Well, who's spying on you if it's dark? You're thinking everybody's nose is paying attention to you. I'm guessing that's what you're thinking, right?
I got to keep up with these resolutions. It's already almost the end of January. It's the 21st of January. 364 more days, and we got a new president. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
All right, 6:22 here at iFIBER One and iFIBER One Newsradio.com. Saw some interesting stories on our regional news page, and we'll talk about those things in just a moment, including something that could really impact the people in the South Sound. JBLM planning these rocket artillery testings for the month of March. And some of these things are going to be as loud as a rock concert. Noticeably booming for DuPont folks. Obviously, they're right there. Roy, Yelm, and Nisqually. I've heard these things out as far as my neck of the woods in Evergreen, near Evergreen State College. And so just be aware that the Joint Base Lewis McChord is going to hold a 3-day test at the firing range east of I-5 in March. And they're going to plan to fire 27 practice rounds using their high mobility artillery rocket system, which can fire rockets from a truck and then move around. It's going to be loud. So that's what's going to happen, and it's going to be happening in March.
Right. And the interesting thing is they're doing it because they don't know the effect of it. Also,
they're testing.
Yeah.
Testing what it was like.
I have no idea.
The other thing they said, though, keeping the soldiers close to home.
Right.
Which is a nice thing.
Right. Saving cost.
Saving cost, for sure. Also, on our regional news story, states that have legalized marijuana, and we are looking, we have that here in Washington, one of 3, Colorado, Oregon, and here. States have legalized it, are taking a fresh look at making it easier for out-of-state investors now to get into the biz, saying the industry's ongoing difficulty in banking means they need new options to finance expansions. And this is, again, people are still not able to use banks and all that stuff. So they need these types of investors to get in there and help build up the infrastructure of these buildings, which, the scrubbers and the fans and the vents needed to keep the smell at a minimum, the amount of lights and energy needed to keep these things going. So they could be looking elsewhere now, outside the state, for potential investors. Snohomish County's got some news stories this morning as well.
True. They have closed on their first purchase of property in the Oso mudslide zone, the slide that took place in 2014. The Snohomish City Council has agreed to purchase 100 remaining parcels of the land where the slide struck. So some property owners have declined the county's offer, but they're going to complete the buyouts through a federal grant program, and they're just sort of going to keep it open or remain as open space and never to be developed.
6:25 here at iFIBER One. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have some more stories for you as we get close to Marilyn Foster's news report at 6:30. rain out there right now, and we'll be back with more after this. It's Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Kornowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving baseline and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. 626 here at iFIBER One News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 1033. Also online this morning, iFIBER1newsradio.com. You can also watch us on the YouTube. We'll have Arlen Morrison at 8:15, Sean Wells at 8:30 for sports reports, and focusing on Shelton with Mike Patty at 8:45. Marilyn Foster has the latest in local news coming up here in just a moment. Tomorrow on the radio, Jeannie Raywalt comes in from the WSU Master Gardeners program. They have a class forthcoming at Memorial Hall. And Carol and I went to the compost class earlier in the month and really learned a lot. There's a lot of great things that are being taught through the Master Gardeners program. And so we'll talk with Jeannie tomorrow. Also coming up, Dr. Alex Apostle on Fridays, and we'll check that ski report as a lot of folks are heading out there, seeing the slopes. It's pretty darn nice out. Carol will have a detailed forecast for us here in just a little bit. It's 6:27 here, and I told myself if I could do things three weeks in a row, 21 days without stopping, I would build the routine, build the habit. Fortunately, I did not get to those 21 days. It's very tough, and kind of talking about habits, routines.
Right, and so like I was reading an article about, excuse me, this person that was trying to figure out how to go to the gym, which is similar to you getting up and going on a walk. Mm-hmm. And so he, through research and science or whatever, he decided, he figured out that really a habit is something that you can do effortlessly. You create it, you do it, and then it just becomes a habit.
Sure.
If there's something that you just do not want to do, it's not a good candidate for being a habit. So you have to move it towards more of a routine. And if you can separate those two words, it becomes a little easier to put that in perspective.
So habit, first thing I think of is somebody with a nicotine habit. And often they won't even realize that they're smoking, right, or they finished a cigarette, start another one.
Right, but like brushing your teeth is a habit every day.
It's not part of my morning routine?
No, I would say it's a habit. Don't you just get up and you automatically brush your teeth or whatever? You have your certain time. It's effortlessly, you just do it. You don't have to force yourself to, well, maybe you do, but usually you don't have to force yourself to brush your teeth. But I would say doing laundry is more of a routine because not very many people like to do laundry.
Right.
But you know the consequences of not doing your laundry.
Okay.
Right? Building up a huge pile and then having to buy new clothes every day. So the idea is that if you can create a routine for yourself, such as going on your walk and then creating a consequence if you don't go on your walk. Well, and his thing, which I have a little bit of issue with, but for the most part, he uses a fear-based type of a thing. Mm-hmm. So he's like, I go to the gym every day or I burn $100 bill.
Whoa.
No, he burns at the gym or he burns at home.
Really? That is quite so. But who is holding him accountable to that? So
right, and that's the other equation that comes in there. When you have to make a commitment.
Interesting.
So I have some other ideas on that. We can talk about that later. But think about that for a while.
The difference between a habit and routine.
Mm-hmm. You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. Residents spoke for and against a proposed city ordinance to loosen regulations for marijuana growers, processors, and retailers in Shelton. The Shelton City Commission conducted a public hearing Tuesday night on the proposed ordinance, but Mayor Gary Krantz and Commissioner Kathy McDowell chose to delay adoption of the ordinance in a first reading. Both wanted more time to think about it. Commissioner Tracy Moore said she was ready to consider adoption of the ordinance with a first reading. Andrew Lang, a representative of Black Diamond Biotech, which wants to locate a Shelton marijuana growing and processing operation inside the 70,000 square foot former ITT Rayonier headquarters building at 409 East Harvard Avenue, addressed the commission in an attempt to calm residents' concerns. He vowed they would install a state-of-the-art ventilation system that would contain the odor of marijuana plants grown in the commercial industrial zone, a requirement the city proposes. The commission placed the ordinance on its work session agenda for Monday at the Shelton Civic Center. Does Mason County need a lobbyist to be heard? It's an issue that's come up, and 35th District Representative Drew McEwen took issue with it on Daybreak.
The assertion has been made by a commissioner that somehow we have not been responsive to the commission, that we're not reporting to them. And I'll tell you what, I take issue. I've had a great working relationship with every jurisdiction in the 35th district, whether it's Mason Transit, whether it's Kitsap County, Thurston County. Certainly talk routinely with Senator Sheldon, who serves on the commission, with Chair Jeffries, and and obviously this is being brought up by Commissioner Netherland. I just this is not a good way to develop a relationship by saying that they've had to hire somebody because we don't talk. That just is not the case, and so this insinuation that somehow Representative Griffey and I don't communicate just is not accurate. I think there's better ways that we can work through things than.
McEwen added that he's done a check of his email and noticed he's never received an email from Commissioner Netherland, but that McEwen has emailed him. The city of Shelton plans to get the message across with new electronic community reader boards on the north and south ends of Olympic Highway leading into the city. The city commissioners on Tuesday night agreed to locate electronic billboards next to the Overlook Park turnout at Olympic Highway South and at a site coming into Shelton on Olympic Highway North within about 300 feet of East Wallace Nealon Boulevard. The signs were donated by the Mason County Public Utility District to replace the old street banners PUD installed for years across the highway. The signs will post upcoming events and scroll other information. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Hi, I'm Ken Slater, the Roof Doctor. If you're like me, your family's important, so make sure that they're well taken care of. One of the best ways to do that is to provide a safe and warm home to live in. For over 50 years, the Roof Doctor has been helping families stay safe and warm by building roofs that last for generations. Our teams have some of the most experienced roofers in the area, and we only use the highest quality materials to keep your family safe, warm, and dry. That's the Roof Doctor. Give us a call.
The Tom Hartman Show, live 9 to noon, weekdays on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
This is not an election cycle where middle-of-the-road Democrats are going to stir up enough of the base and enough excitement and enthusiasm that they're going to seriously win elections. And that's the thing that Republicans have figured out and Democrats have yet to learn, which is that elections are not about swaying so-called undecided voters. They're about stirring up the base. The base will bring the undecided voters along with them. They'll do it through social media. They'll do it through talking to their neighbors. They'll do it by talking to people in the workplace. But you've got to energize the base.
Well, good Thursday morning to you. It's Daybreak here, iFIBER ONE News Radio with Jeff and Carol. Carol's checking the weather here in just a moment. Currently, though, what are we looking like?
Well, we're looking like rain.
There's we talked yesterday about these planets that could be in a beautiful arc just before sunrise. Mm-hmm. And I had planned on, we'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah, if you can see them.
Not even going to be able to see it.
No, rainy and cloudy. And my drive-in, your drive, if you're driving, it's probably going to be rainy and yucky, and it's that weird. If you're driving in the dark, it's that weird dark that just sucks the light out. I mean, it's so hard to see when that rain and dark. So be careful out there.
Wilson went on a 9-0 run to start the contest last night as the Rams blew by the High Climbers 73-27. Star junior Josie Matz, was the player of the game for Wilson, finishing with a game-high 25. Star post player Cara Knox checked in with 17. Freshman Timber Ware led all scorers for Shelton with 13. The Lady High Climbers looking for a big road win, taking on Central Kitsap this Friday. Sean Wells in at 8:30 to talk about sports this week and what's on deck for the weekend. In men's college basketball, Andrew Andrews scored 25 of 33 in the second half. Marquise Chris added 17, and Washington stayed on top of the Pac-12 conference standings. 95-83 win over Colorado last night. Seattle Sounders have a big announcement today, and in all likelihood, it's the signing of Stanford star Jordan Morris. 21-year-old junior forward had a pair of goals to lead Stanford over Clemson 4-0 for their first NCAA men's soccer title in December, and he won the Hermann Trophy. Like the Heisman Trophy in football, the Hermann Trophy is for collegiate soccer. Skipped the senior season at Stanford to go pro. His dad, Michael Morris, the doctor, is the medical director for the Sounders. Now, news from the north, Carol. Fairbanks officials say the Iditarod Trail sled dog race is unlikely to start in Burrow this year. Burrow Mayor Carl Castle tells the Fairbanks Daily News Miner that unless the weather worsens in south central Alaska, the 1,000-mile race will likely start in Willow as planned. The ceremonial start March 5 in Anchorage. They're going to make a firm decision by February 12th. Tonight on iFIBER ONE News Radio, Gonzaga basketball at 7:40. They'll be taking on St. Mary's. Wet out there, as she mentioned.
It is wet. It is 43 degrees, and we're going to have rain all day tonight. And we might get another inch of rain. Tomorrow looks like rain, light rain early, then remaining cloudy in the afternoon with thunder possible. Tomorrow, or Saturday, rain again early, mix of sun and clouds in the afternoon. Sunday looks to be better, a little bit sunny. Rain's only going to be about 20% on Sunday. And I just saw on our Twitter feed from WSDOT that I-90 is closed due to avalanche danger. That was about 41 minutes ago, but they haven't given me any updates right now. That's near North Bend to near Ellensburg due to avalanche danger. Wow. It says the paths will remain closed today. So if you're out, if you got to go somewhere, check the DOT website.
We'll see. We'll get our ski reports tomorrow that have all our snow-based numbers, but if we have time today, we'll try to cue that up as well.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Good morning to you. It is 6:39 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio and Daybreak. Jeff and Carol hanging out with you. We'll live the country life in just a few moments. Today on the show, Arlen Morris at 8:15 to talk about the upcoming Inquiring Minds series on Harstein Island. Mike Patty at 8:45. Central Mason Fire and EMS, also Shelton's Fire Marshal. That's Mike Patty with the focus on Shelton today was on the Facebook, and I saw some great stories from the turnout from last night's Homes First program.
Yeah, that's great.
Tammy Newton had taken some photos. She was there, part of the event, and it looked like a standing room only with people there learning more about how we can get the homeless vets into homes and then hopefully use that model as we move forward for the rest of the population. Very, very nice. Jeff Chu has been busy on the local news beat, and he's got some great news stories from the county commissioners' meetings from yesterday. We talked about the LED lights, the electronic reader boards on Olympic Highway, and also right by that turnoff there. You can overlook the city, very beautiful. The other story that Jeff has on the website this morning, iFIBER1newsradio.com, Shelton Commissioner McDowell outlines support to hire new city administrator. And we had talked back and forth about this off and on over the last month, and then before the end of the year, as the new commission was starting to move its way in, we knew that City Administrator Dave O'Leary was leaving in May, and so the search is on to find someone new. And so now they are talking a little bit more about this, and City Commissioner Kathy McDowell shared her support for prompt action to hire a search firm to find Shelton's next city administrator. McDowell, who was seated on the commission just this month, went on the record with her thoughts during the commission's Tuesday night meeting. You can find that story under the local news tab at iFIBER1Newsradio.com. In addition, busy meeting apparently.
Yeah, busy meeting in the Shelton City Commission. The commissioners heard residents on a proposal to relax city pot laws. As we've heard in the past, the state has decreased the buffer zone for the growing of pot inside the buildings or whatever, and a business wanted to come into town and get on the old former empty ITT Rainier building that's down over by the waterfront, sort of around. And so they're coming in, and the residents are like worried about the smell and this and that, but the representative of Black Diamond Biotech, who wants to locate his marijuana growing and processing operation there, it's 70,000 square foot former ITT Rainier headquarters. He says that, they have state-of-the-art ventilation system that would contain the odor of the marijuana plants grown. And he said it's a requirement the city proposes, and he also says he works with another, a clean air agency, Olympia Clean Air Agency. So he says that odor shall falls under state control, and he says the system makes it virtually zero odor escaping from the building.
And that's one of the biggest contention points. Well, let's go smell like.
You wouldn't even know it's there.
Sure. And that it's in a part of the town where there's not a lot of traffic.
Right. Why would you go back there unless you had business in that area?
Interesting comments on here. Now, the Facebook page, Get Rid of Tweakers in Shelton. I don't know if you're familiar with this. It's kind of a page on there. Yeah. But it's a great comment here with a couple thumbs up past it. Take a look around the city. There are heroin junkies and tweakers everywhere, not to mention the crime due to drugs. Appears that cannabis is the least of the problems in the city. Perhaps leave the legit businesses alone and focus on creating jobs and finding a way to clean up the damage caused by real street drugs. Yeah. It's actually a pretty good point. Yep. And we do appreciate those comments on iFIBER1Newsradio.com. It was a little bit of a contentious shift from just unadulterated wild, wild west, no real rules to posting. And so now we get people who, once they know, they have to have their names associated with it, or at least their pages.
Right.
They're a little more thoughtful when it comes to these things. 6:43 right now. We'll take a break. We'll live the country life. Come back, see what ABC has to say during the overnight. We had a mama grizzly bear on the stage the other day. Remember when Sarah Palin endorsed Trump? There's another story.
You're listening to Daybreak
mama bear
on iFIBER1 News Radio.
Mason County Garbage and Recycling on Johns Prairie here in Shelton is pleased to offer safe and efficient removal services. Mason County Garbage and Recycling is always mindful of environmental standards and is continuously striving for the highest excellence. Mason County Garbage and Recycling, upholding your trust within the community. Questions? Call 426-8729. In Belfair, 275-4590.
It's the 9th Annual Elma Chamber Winter Wine Festival, January 23rd at the Grays Harbor Fair and Event Center in Elma. Come enjoy wine tastings, a beer garden, food and vendor booths, live entertainment, and much more. It's open from noon till 9. Pre-sale tickets available now. Order through the Elma Chamber at 360-482-3055. You must be 21 to attend the 9th Annual Elma Winter Wine Festival, January 23rd at the Grays Harbor Fair and Event Center in Elma.
We love hearing from our listeners and sharing their stories with you. Hi, I'm Jody Henke. Today we're featuring Sarah Creech, who found peace on a small farm and is sharing that with veterans as she's living the country life.
Living the country life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic and from previous shows by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com. We'll return to the show after these messages.
Read Living the Country Life magazine on your computer and mobile devices. Each issue features great stories, how-to help, reader tips, and recipes, as well as beautiful photos to spark new ideas for your place in the country. All the stories and features you love about Living the Country Life magazine are right at your fingertips, anywhere, any way you want them. Visit nextissue.com or zenio.com to subscribe. There's no limit to how many times you can enjoy your digital editions of Living the Country Life.
Need new ideas for what to do around your place? Register for a free Living the Country Life newsletter. Once a week, you'll receive helpful tips on key topics such as landscaping, animals and poultry, outdoor improvement projects, recreational activities, and much more. The newsletter delivers the latest trends, alerts you to informational courses, shares what other people are doing on their properties, and provides details about exciting sweepstakes and other contests. Sign up for your free newsletter today by visiting livingthecountrylife.com.
Sarah Creech never thought about becoming a farmer until her husband, Chuck, was diagnosed with colon cancer. When he got sick, they studied nutrition. They bought food from local farmers, fell in love with the idea of starting their own farm, and began making plans for when he got out of the military. In 2011, Chuck lost his battle with cancer. He was just 36 years old. Sarah was devastated, but determined to live out their dream. In 2012, she bought 43 acres near North Salem, Indiana, and added chickens, lambs, fruit trees, bees, and a garden. Farming became her therapy and also a calling. She developed training programs to help veterans start their own small farms, from just hanging out on a Sunday for companionship to a farm incubator program.
We offer free use of our land, our equipment. We give a small stipend, and then we provide housing for 2 years while the veteran is able to build their actual business and kind of get the experience that they need and the backing that they need in order to qualify for future loans and programs to actually start their farm on their own.
She's given veterans hope and purpose, but Sarah has found a connection to something deeper.
Every time that we have veterans out here, whether it's just a small off-the-cuff comment or conversations that I've had, I can see that other people are finding that same healing that I've found in working on a farm and working with animals. It's an incredible feeling to be able to find that peace yourself, but then also to spread it to other people.
We'd like to hear what makes your place special. Tell us about it at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the Country Life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Good morning to you. 6:48 here, iFIBER ONE News Radio. It's Daybreak, and not technically Daybreak for another 17 minutes or so. We'll tell you about where and how you'll be able to see some beautiful celestial bodies here shortly. But as I mentioned, a Florida mom of two. We had Mama Grizzly the other day get up there stumping for Trump, Palin out. This Florida mama two went into Mama Bear mode Monday night when she and her kids were threatened by a pair of gun-toting would-be carjackers. The incident went down at a gas station in Hialeah, Florida. Carol's watching the videos right now, so she can kind of tell me more about what's going on. But the surveillance footage shows the unidentified mom pumping gas. Then a dude jumped into the driver's seat of the... Now, here's what's interesting. In my story, it says that the convertible is still running. So if she's pumping gas, she can't have the car running.
Right, but you're supposed to turn off your car when you pump gas, but some people don't. Maybe she thought that she was worried that she needed to get in right away.
She felt a little something happening.
Yeah.
The hairs on the back of her neck started standing up and saying, whoa, there is a situation that's unfolding that, although I may not be aware of right now, something's happening. And so this lady sees two guys run in, and the kids are there as well. Boy, she just throws them out. Can you post that on Facebook?
Yeah.
What an interesting story that is. His accomplice brandished a firearm. Mom, none of it. flung him out of the car, shoved him away. In response, the would-be carjacker beat feet. He was out of there, who was ready to jump in the passenger seat. Cops caught up with this guy after a short chase. And I'm just hopeful that I'm never in a situation like this with Kaiser, where I'm pumping the gas or whatever, and he's sitting in there. And you hear these stories every so often of a carjacking with a baby in the car.
Yeah.
And the bad guy will drive down the road a little bit, start adjusting, to be comfortable. Check the mirror. Wait a second. There's a baby back there.
Right.
Like 9 times out of 10, they'll pull over and run. Like, I am not adding child kidnapping to some stupid car breaking.
Right. But I lock my car when I pump my gas.
Do you?
Yeah, because did you hear about the purse sliders?
No.
They would focus on women because women always have their purse in the passenger seat.
More women probably have purses too.
Yeah, and so that if your cars are unlocked, they'd come up on the other side, open the door while you're pumping gas, grab your purse, and then slide out. So they wouldn't walk up; they sort of slide up.
Whoa!
To it. So I have my key toggle, so it's easy for me to just lock my car when I pump my gas and then unlock it when I get in. That way I know nobody's getting into my car.
To think about while I'm pumping.
To me, it's a habit.
To me, it'd be a routine.
Because it's just effortless for me.
So I have never heard about this.
Oh, you never heard about
this?
that?
This is almost like as eye-opening as when Oprah, I remember this Oprah, and she was talking about using the restroom and how she never had her purse at her feet. Or no, she never had hung anything on the door, the back of the door. There's usually a hook you can put your coat or anything. To never hang your stuff there, because a guy or gal come in the bathroom, just reach their hand over, yoinks, and they're off. And what are you going to do? You're busy. I never even heard about this.
Oh, you didn't? That was a big thing a couple of years ago. It was all over the news.
So you just you slither in on the side, barely open the door, and then you can just kind of reach around.
Yeah. Grab the first, yeah. That's why I just block. I mean, I would rather trust people than not trust people, but I mean, if the temptation is unavailable,
I mean, people are so excited taking pictures of how much gas costs right now.
Right. It's
very low. And for example, the Texaco near on State Route 3 near Johns Prairie Road, the Bayshore Texaco there, $1.79. So everybody's too busy taking photos, snapping photos, and posting them to Facebook of how much they're paying for gas. Nobody's even paying attention
to purses
to the slithering
running cars.
Wow. Never even heard about that. Yeah, $1.79, a couple places around town. Isn't that amazing? Lowest price in Washington, $1.65 right now. Average price, $2.25. See if we can find the lowest gas price in I think it's 79 cents.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
It is the most difficult time of year to keep your car clean, but also the most important. Some winter care advice today from the Old Farmer's Almanac. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac radio report for Thursday, January 21st, the 21st day of the year. Golf champ Jack Nicklaus and the legendary disc jockey Wolfman Jack were born on this day. If you live in the snow belt, you know what road salt and grime can do to your car's finish. Even after a thorough wash, it's not long before it's a rolling powdered donut again. So how often should you wash your car in the winter? Experts we surveyed agreed that twice a month is a good balance between protecting your car and depleting your pocketbook. They also recommend an outdoor temperature of 30 degrees or higher to prevent frozen door locks and seals. During extended cold snaps, use a do-it-yourself sprayer to knock the excess gunk from your wheel wells and undercarriage. That's the Old Farmer's Almanac radio report. Learn more and get our advice of the day at almanac.com.
iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Carol and I talked yesterday. Good morning, everyone. Daybreak here, iFIBER ONE Newsradio. We were talking yesterday about these planets that are going to line up in a beautiful arc starting yesterday through February 20th. And so I had this great plan that since it's going to be happening during ABC News, that I'd run out there, figure out where I'm supposed to look and take a photo and snap it and see what's going on. Well, if you look outside this morning, there ain't none of that happening.
Did you hear my forecast yesterday?
I did hear your forecast yesterday, but I thought for a clearing in the weather. But unfortunately, I didn't get it.
But don't you have a plan?
I have a plan, and I'm going to see if it works. They have these new apps on your smartphone that are called, they're basically like star guides. That's what the app is actually called, Star Guides. And so you can go out and you put your phone up, and it's through augmented reality where it overlays a star map through your camera. So as you're looking through your camera, just as if you're taking a photo, you use your picture on your camera to see the photo. This will overlay what stars are happening in front of you.
Even if you can't see them.
Even if you can't see them. And you can even look down and it'll go through the earth and to the other side and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to find where it is, and it's southeast to southwest. And I'm going to put this thing up there and see if I see it, because otherwise, even on a beautiful day, I would be hard-pressed to be able to name the 5 planets that'll be part of this arc. But between now and February 20, about 45 minutes before sunrise, which is at right around 7:10, 7:05, 7:10 in that area.
When you would get up. Sunrise is not till 7:53
sure, 45 minutes later, sunrise. And you be able to head out there and see Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Mars, and Jupiter. All in a beautiful arc.
Right. And they say as you're getting more towards February and the end of this show, Mercury will be getting higher. So that will be a lot easier to see.
Is Mercury in retrograde?
I don't know. That
causes a lot of people who follow celestial stuff say when Mercury is in retrograde, lots of crazy things happen. 6:57 here at iFIBER One News Radio. We've got a CNBC Business Radio report coming up next, checking on that market. Some down days lately. We're just talking about the gas prices, and crude oil is just
it's good for the consumer. Makes us happy.
$1.79.
Yeah, it's
lowest
awesome.
price a pound. Hey, thanks to the Chrome Horse, whoever that is. They're the person that runs around here and updates these prices.
Thank you.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
For CNBC Business Radio, the markets are lower despite comments made earlier by European Central Bank President Mario Draghi. He says rates are expected to remain at current levels or lower for an extended period of time. The Dow's down 42 points, the Nasdaq lower by 29. Shares of Verizon are up sharply, the wireless carrier turning in better than expected revenue as its heavy promotions help to keep the competition at bay. Travelers is down, the insurer reporting a 16.5% decline in profit on weaker investment income and as its underwriting gains declined. After today's close, American Express and Starbucks are among the companies expected to report their quarterly results. Barclays announcing it will cut about 1,000 jobs worldwide. It will be shutting down its investment banking business in countries including Australia, Indonesia, Philippines, South Korea, Taiwan, and Thailand.
Looking to save money on Medicare Part D? Switch your prescriptions to Walgreens. With copays as low as $1, you could be looking at some real savings. And now you can preview the cost of your scripts before you fill with Walgreens' new Medicare prescription copay quote. And that's kind of a big deal. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Quotes subject to change and available only for select Part D plans. $1 copay applies to Tier 1 generics.
There are times being a genius would really come in handy.
As your doctor, I'm going to give it to you straight. You have a severe case of gustatory horpulation aneurysis, and you need to choose between a cystoplastic Bellante treatment or orthostatic muscular surgery. I'll give you a second to think it over, but we'll need an answer right away. It's bad.
But thankfully, you don't need to be a genius to do your own taxes, because TurboTax's Smart Look feature gives you on-screen assistance to help answer your questions so you're never on your own. Intuit TurboTax. Taxes done smarter. Feature availability varies by product and plan.
Dave Ramsey helps you handle your money. Weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER One News Radio. AM 1030, FM 103.3, KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. Standing in the center of the target of a nasty nor'easter, Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe has declared a state of emergency and is urging residents to be prepared. The storm is expected to hammer the mid-Atlantic coast from Philadelphia to the Carolinas. ABC's Rob Marciano has the hotspots.
Now we have a newly issued blizzard watch for New York City, Northeast New Jersey, and Long Island for blowing and drifting snow as this thing makes its way to the and widespread winter storm watches. Here's what we expect to see as this thing develops. The worst day is going to be Saturday and Saturday night. We're thinking potentially up to 2 feet or more, especially west of D.C., but there's a sharp cutoff as you go up to Philadelphia. Well, they'll probably see about a foot, and then New York City gets a little bit dicey.
It was a nasty commute for D.C. area workers last night. 2 inches of snow quickly froze into ice, sending hundreds of cars and trucks careening into each other and overwhelming police. Some were stranded and stopped traffic into this morning. ABC's Tom Rousey says the snow came as a surprise.
It's been an absolute mess, and obviously if people had known this was coming, they would have left work early, but nobody knew it was coming. And so PM rush hour in D.C., which is always a bad time, hit, and all of a sudden it was just the worst thing ever. I mean, this is going to go down as one of the worst evening rush hours ever around here.
Bob Dole says Donald Trump would be a better Republican presidential nominee because nobody likes Ted Cruz and he wouldn't work well with Congress. He also says Cruz is more of an extremist than a Republican. Trump, meanwhile, has opened up a 34 to 14% lead over Cruz in New Hampshire. More from ABC's Tom Yamas.
Also making big news today, a new poll that shows Donald Trump far and away the clear leader in New Hampshire. Senator Ted Cruz a far second place, and after that, Jeb Bush at 10% and Marco Rubio at 10 as well.
A Connecticut school is defending its decision to report a 15-year-old student to police for pledging allegiance to ISIS instead of the flag. They say they did it out of an abundance of caution. This is ABC News.
Racing legend Richard Petty.
After over 1,100 races, you could say I've been through the ringer. To help me keep feeling my best, I use odor-free Blue MU made with real MU oil. Blue MU continuous pain relief spray makes it perfect for all those hard-to-reach places. And now there's the new Blue MU Maximum Arthritis Pain Relief Cream. Perfect for hard-hitting arthritis pain. Thanks to Blue MU, nothing slows down the king. Use what I use. Blue MU. It works fast and you won't stink.
Available at Walmart, Walgreens, and other fine retailers.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Call Quicken Loans now to see if you qualify for the government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. And for 6 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction. And for the second year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN. Or visit QuickenLoans.com.
Visit JDPower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
A new investigation has concluded that Russian President Vladimir Putin probably approved a plan by Russia's security service to kill a former agent. ABC's Tom Rivers has more.
Alexander Litvinenko was poisoned to death a decade ago in London. The prime suspects, 2 former Russian intelligence agents. Britain's top law and order minister, Theresa May, says
European arrest warrants are in place so that the main suspects, Andrei Lugovoy and Dmitry Koftin, can be arrested if they travel abroad.
While they're unlikely to do so, Litvinenko's widow remains hopeful.
I believe final justice, when these 2 people will be punished, will happen.
Meanwhile, Russia labels the findings politically motivated. Tom Rivers, ABC News, London.
Amy Schumer denies she's a joke stealer. An online video has surfaced offering side-by-side comparisons of her skits with those of other comedians. One of those skits, she points out, was written by one of the writers on her show. She says she would never knowingly steal. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. Residents spoke for and against a proposed city ordinance to loosen regulations for marijuana growers, processors, and retailers in Shelton. The Shelton City Commission conducted a public hearing Tuesday night on the proposed ordinance, but Mayor Gary Krantz and Commissioner Kathy McDowell chose to delay adoption of the ordinance in a first reading. Both wanted more time to think about it. Commissioner Tracy Moore said she was ready to consider adoption of the ordinance with a first reading. Andrew Lang, a representative of Black Diamond Biotech, which wants to locate a Shelton marijuana growing and processing operation inside the 70,000 square foot former ITT Rayonier headquarters building at 409 East Harvard Avenue, addressed the commission in an attempt to calm residents' concerns. He vowed they would install a state-of-the-art ventilation system that would contain the odor of marijuana plants grown in the commercial industrial zone, a requirement the city proposes. The commission placed the ordinance on its work session agenda for Monday at the Shelton Civic Center. Does Mason County need a lobbyist to be heard? It's an issue that's come up, and 35th District Representative Drew McEwen took issue with it on Daybreak.
The assertion has been made by a commissioner that somehow we have not been responsive to the commission, that we're not reporting to them. And I'll tell you what, I take you. I've had a great working relationship with every jurisdiction in the 35th district, whether it's Mason Transit, whether it's Kitsap County, Thurston County. Certainly talk routinely with Senator Sheldon, who serves on the commission, with Chair Jeffries, and and obviously this is being brought up by Commissioner Netherland. I just this is not a good way to develop a relationship by saying that they've had to hire somebody because we don't talk. That just is not the case, and so this insinuation that somehow Representative Griffey and I don't communicate just is not accurate. I think there's better ways that we can work through things than.
McEwen added that he's done a check of his email and noticed he's never received an email from Commissioner Netherland, but that McEwen has emailed him. The city of Shelton plans to get the message across with new electronic community reader boards on the north and south ends of Olympic Highway leading into the city. The city commissioners on Tuesday night agreed to locate electronic billboards next to the Overlook Park turnout at Olympic Highway South and at a site coming into Shelton on Olympic Highway North within about 300 feet of East Wallace Neelan Boulevard. The signs were donated by the Mason County Public Utility District to replace the old street banners PUD installed for years across the highway. The signs will post upcoming events and scroll other information. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Previously on the Under the Hood Show.
This would be Glenn.
Hey, Glenn, go ahead.
I've got an 87 Honda that I just picked up for a song, like $100, and it runs beautifully at 305,000 miles.
Quite impressive.
But when you start it, you have to start it 3 times to get the automatic choke to kick in properly.
So what, Glenn? It was $100.
Go under the hood, Saturdays at noon on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3.
Some other car dealers only worry about selling you cars, often crippling you with interest rates that are through the roof. Not Whitney Chevrolet. Our finance guy is an expert at getting the finance you need at surprisingly low interest rates. Recently, we got a young lady without any credit history who had been turned down at other dealers at an extremely low interest rate. Now that's a big deal. Check out our inventory at whitneychev.com, then come in and see us.
A $150 negotiable document fee may be added to the price of all vehicles.
Just down the road to Whitney.
Another Warriors win. West Virginia and Michigan State fall. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. In Chicago, looking up at all those championship banners in the United Center, Warriors guard Stephen Curry focused on one, the 72-win banner from the 95-96 Bulls team. Aiming for that record, Golden State improved to 39-4 last night.
Curry hook pass to Clay. Left side, his three. That's good. And the Warriors have blown this wide open again.
On KNBR, Warriors spanked the Bulls 125-94. Curry scored 25. Derrick Rose 29. And Dallas Mavs and T-Wolves went to overtime.
Up the right side to Parsons. Left to Matthews. Back to Parsons. Drives on Muhammad. Hanging, banking, scoring.
On KESN, Mavericks take it 106-94 without Dirk Nowitzki. Chandler Parsons 30 points. Rookie Karl Anthony Towns 27 points, 17 boards. DeMarcus Cousins rattled the Lakers with 36 points and 16 rebounds.
Wide open Caskey for three. Misses it badly. Grabbed by Cousins. Back up. Back in. And he's fouled. DeMarcus Cousins.
On KHTK, Sacramento over the Lakers 112-93. The Kings have won 3 straight and 6 of 9. College hoops, number 6 West Virginia losing at home last night.
Yancey to Lammert for 3. The lefty got it. Big 3-ball for Connor Lammert.
On ESPN Texas, a 56-49 winner in Morgantown. Number 11 Michigan State lost at home to Nebraska.
6 on the shot clock. In the paint, the jump hook. Got it! Shalon Fields hits it to get Nebraska the 4-point lead. 16 seconds to go.
On the Huskers IMG Sports Network, Nebraska 72-71 as the Spartans suffer its 3rd straight loss. To the NFL, the Buffalo Bills making history by hiring Catherine Smith as the first full-time female member of an NFL coaching staff. ESPN Bills reporter Mike Rodak.
going to be a lot of film breakdown. It's what a lot of quality control coaches do. I would assume she'd have some duties on game day, too, that might not be fully developed right now.
Australian Open, Andy Murray, Stan Wawrinka, and Victoria Azarenka advanced to the third round. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
Well, I just went outside to see the stars.
Is it raining?
And I could see hardly 10 feet in front of my face. It's so cloudy. Carol, good morning.
Good morning.
We'll have a weather forecast in just a moment. It's 7:11 at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Is a Thursday, and we're here checking sports. I'm Jeff Slakey. Last night at the Mini Dome, Wilson went on a 9-0 run to start the contest as the Rams blew by the High Climbers 73-27 last night. Star junior Josie Matz was the player of the game for Wilson, finishing with a game-high 25 points. Star post player Cara Knox checked in with 17. For Shelton, freshman Timber Ware led all scorers with 13. The Lady High Climbers looking for a big road win as they take on Central Kitsap on Friday. Sean Wells will be in at 8:30 to talk about this week's sports and what's on deck for the weekend. In men's college basketball, Washington beat Colorado 95-83 to keep them on top of the Pac-12 conference standings. Big announcement in Soundersville this morning. All likelihood, the signing of Stanford star Jordan Morris. 21-year-old junior forward had a pair of goals leading Stanford over Clemson in a 4-0 win for the NCAA men's soccer title in December. Got the Herman Trophy for soccer. It's like the Heisman Trophy for football, but it's called the Herman Trophy. Skipped his senior season at Stanford. He's decided to turn pro. His dad, Dr. Michael Morris, is the medical director for the Sounders. Checking the scoreboards in boys high school basketball, Timberline over Yelm, 89-73. Girls high school basketball, North Thurston 45, Capital 42. Timberline over Yelm. And in boys swimming, Gig Harbor 123, Shelton 65. Tonight on iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 1033. Gonzaga basketball at 7:40 is the pregame, and tip just 8 o'clock as they take on St. Mary's. That's a look at sports now. Carol here with the forecast.
It's 43, and it's going to be rainy today and tonight. Tomorrow looks like some light rain early and then remaining cloudy, mostly in the afternoon, but there could be some thunder possible. On Saturday, we are going to have rain very early. I keep thinking today's Friday. That's why I got my days all mixed up. But tomorrow, Friday, we're going to have light rain early and possible thunderstorms. Saturday, we're going to have rain early again, but we're going to have a mix of sun and clouds in the afternoon. And then Sunday looks to be a little bit better, just pretty much in the morning hours with sun and clouds, with just a cloudy afternoon. Chance of rain's only about 20%. If you want to get outside on Sunday. Right now, it's 43.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. 7:13 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Daybreak, AM 1030 and FM 1033, now officially Daybreak. I did head out there to get the app, and by the way, our apps are all updated on your various devices. I just saw the update that the Apple version of our iFIBER ONE app is updated with the new look and the new logo, so check that out. Anyways, I have this Star Walk Map app that I thought would overlay what I was looking at, so I walked right outside the old studios here on Coda. And I had to get my bearings because I want to look where? South, southwest, southeast, something like that. From southeast to southwest. Yeah. So, of course, I feel like this.
Yeah.
Of course, if I want to look south, first thing I do is I'll step outside and just look behind me. Because obviously that's south,
exactly.
But no, it's not.
We're always heading north, aren't we?
I thought, it's an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to think about. You're not always heading north.
Right.
So anyways, I find where south is, and it's actually just directly across the street. looking to across the street, like towards Thomas Printing, and then out that way. And sure enough, you couldn't see nothing. It's dark, it's windy, rainy, messy. But if you use this app, these star things, sure enough, popped up there, Mercury in the bottom corner, and it went around the whole little lineup. So I'm going to see if I can get a better version of an app that takes a better photo. But it literally was there, and you saw
an arc.
It was very cool. Very, very cool. Checking out the website this morning, iFIBER ONE Newsradio.com. City to install electronic reader boards on Olympic Highway. That was one of the big stories from the Shelton City Commission meeting yesterday. Jeff Chu was there. He reported on 3 big events that happened. Check them all out on our local news tab. But one of the things is a change in how we get our information across to the residents here in Shelton. Now, if you remember, up until recently, PUD used to do those banner signs across the street, across the way. Well, they had recently stopped doing that, and some people were kind of wondering about that stuff. Well, it turns out the state auditor's office told PUD that using their crews to post those banners was not PUD's public responsibility. So the service eliminated. Justin Holsgrove with the PUD says the cost of these structures will be about $25,000 as a donation to the city. They're going to have to put in power lines, even a little bit of water lines to landscape around these new signs, but they're great information.
Well, and the good thing is it's wireless. You can update it immediately.
In case there's an emergency or a wreck, you're about ready, someone's heading down Highway 3 and they say,
right, but they're for events that are happening. Right. And you can put up your logo and you can make it, you can change those easily without going up and down and changing the banners. But then they could use them for an emergency also, I imagine.
And then you don't have to reprint new banners every year. And
right.
So cool stuff. Check out that story and more on iFIBER1Newsradio.com, including stories about a new potential pot business in town at the old ITT Rayonier building, the headquarters on Harvard. That's all under the local news tab at iFIBER1Newsradio.com.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Are you still without a good health plan? No worries. Mason General Hospital can help you get covered before a medical need arises. Just go online and visit masongeneral.com and click on Washington Health Plan Finder on the homepage. There you can view and compare the various plans available. Mason General can help get signed up. All you do is click, compare, and call. Mason General Hospital's Project Supervisor, Susanna Lopez, at 432-7766.
Mason General Hospital and family of clinics. Equal opportunity provider. Translation services provided.
Mason General and family of clinics.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio, KMAS.
7:19 on a Thursday morning of the 21st of January. Arlen Morris coming up in a little less than an hour now at 8:15 to talk about the Inquiring Minds series that starts up on Harstein Island. Also at 8:30, Sean Wells, sports director, in to talk about this week in sports and what's coming up for the weekend. Gonzaga basketball tonight. And then Mike Patty in at 8:45 so we can focus on Shelton.
I feel right at home on John.
We'll get to that message in a second from John L. Scott. It's 7:19 right now. And I was going around the internet, Carol, looking at interesting health story, trying to find something that's kind of a health-related story. And I came up with this one about a pill called Truvada. And it is a one-a-day pill that prevents HIV. The fact that they have a pill that does this, first and foremost is pretty amazing.
Mhm.
As we saw HIV and AIDS come to prominence in the early and mid 80s.
Right.
And then the some of the backlash, and people were really unfamiliar with the disease and where it came from. I mean, I remember as a kid, people said toilet seats. I mean, but we had no idea. And now we are more familiar with what's going on and things like that. So this Truvada pill is apparently as safe. Now, there are different levels of safe, of course, but no more at risk for dangerous side effects than anybody who takes a daily aspirin or like a baby aspirin to prevent heart attacks. And you hear people say that all the time. You take a Bayer or whatever, like a mini aspirin every day, and it helps with heart attacks. Well, this is apparently just as effective with as little side effects. So researchers compared this Truvada and aspirin by looking at the risk profiles in large published studies. And the two drugs do have side effects. We know this. Truvada has dizziness, vomiting, weight loss, and aspirin has bleeding problems because it thins out your blood, I think is the process to help it move faster and kind of alleviate headaches. And people take aspirin for headaches and all that stuff. The frequency of side effects, roughly equivalent. This is an amazing, just the fact that we've gotten to the point where you can take a pill to help prevent these types of things. Now, everybody, Jeffrey Klausner, a professor of medicine at UCLA, UC California, Los Angeles, everyone's got aspirin in their medicine cabinet. And he says that as a physician, he's seen people come into hospitals and pass away from aspirin overdoses. You know, people can be allergic to these things. It really looked like you could say Truvada compared favorably in terms of a safety profile. Very interesting. And over half of American adults, 45 to 75, are prescribed a daily aspirin. So, you know, I think we're on the verge of some major medical breakthroughs.
I sort of have a weird issue with this, though.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll see what Carol has to say about this. Right after this on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
I feel right at home on JohnLScott.com.
Hi, this is Dawn Pinnell from John L. Scott Real Estate here in Shelton. For a while now, I have been saying welcome home and sharing with you some great listings and some hopefully educational and interesting items of riveting radio real estate topics. We're moving our time slot to Friday at 8:55, right at the end of the morning show. I hope you will continue to listen and that you will contact me with any of your real estate needs. I would love to help you say, I'm home.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
All right, good morning to you. 7:23 here, iFIBER ONE. Daybreak, Jeff and Carol. So what are you talking about this? We're just talking about this pill that looks as if, and you brought up a good point during the break here shortly that I never even thought about. This is basically a kind of a daily, I mean, almost in the same sense of also like a birth control pill. A preventative maintenance pill.
Right.
You take aspirin to help prevent heart attacks. You would take birth control to help prevent getting pregnant. You take this pill in the hopes to prevent getting HIV/AIDS.
Right. And I guess my issue is, instead of spending all this money on a pill to help prevent it, why don't you spend the money on finding the cure for the disease in the first place?
Is in the treatment, Carol.
I know, but
you're too good-hearted.
Well, our society, unfortunately, loves to just have the quick fix, or the money, the people that make the money, the pharmaceutical companies.
The cure, that's not where the money is.
Right. And isn't that a sad state of affairs?
Very.
Don't you think? I mean, you just slap bandages on. So you just do whatever, but as long as you slap a Band-Aid on, if you have the money to even buy it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess to me, that's sort of my issue. It's like, and I don't really see it in the same vein as preventing a pregnancy.
Okay.
Because I don't think you need a cure for having a baby. I mean, that's just a natural part of life. And I don't see it really, I mean, and there is some controversy on taking an aspirin a day for preventing heart attacks.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So to me, it's like, why don't we work on our physical selves to make us better and stronger instead of just saying, well, that's just how it is. I better just take a pill to fix it.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. And I've always thought that way my whole life.
Makes sense. Kind of make a little sense, Carol.
Yeah, I can see that eye rolling. And you could too if you were watching YouTube.
Right, rolling any eyes here. 7:25 at Daybreak and iFIBER ONE News Radio. Yesterday also we talked about that big giant planet that they found. You broke this story on Daybreak.
I did. It was
breaking
right on
news,
yeah.
And people are really getting behind this thing. An icy world that is 10 times heavier than Earth might follow. And so here's how you would never know. It takes 20,000 years to orbit the sun. This is what they're thinking. So they've got these scientific experiments out there that they see that there is like a ripple, or they see that something is being affected by something out in the ether. And they are starting to really come to the fact that this may be a 10 times heavier than Earth and way bigger than even Venus planet that takes 20,000 years to orbit the sun.
So to visit, you would have to get into the deep freeze.
You would. And this place is cold for sure. We've always thought, now, have you ever heard about a Planet X? Did you ever hear about that kind of?
The mystery Planet X.
The mystery Planet X. And we've got it.
We do. I mean, it's interesting to me how much we discover all the time, even on our own Earth. And our technology, though it's vastly going crazy, every time we discover something new, it's like, oh, and it opens up our horizons a little more. Like, well, okay, so we don't know what we don't know is basically what it comes down to.
Thanks, Rumsfeld. There are things we know. There are things we don't know. There are things we know we don't know. There are things we don't know we don't know.
Exactly.
So here's what they saw. They see these 6 dwarf planets that are tilted 30 degrees away from the orbits of the sun's planets. Now, the odds that this were to happen by happen chance are tens, hundred thousands, millions. 0.0007%. 71 millionths of a chance, according to California Institute of Tech, Konstantin Badkin and Mike Brown. Basically, it shouldn't happen randomly, so they says something else must be shaping these orbits. And Planet 9, 20 times the orbit and 20 times farther out than Neptune. Planet 9's orbit would also explain another batch of odd mini worlds. So there is a lot, even in our own solar system, that still we have no idea about.
Oh, I know, because we just don't have the technology.
I heard one time, it was when Armageddon came out, or any of those other Armageddon movies, and they said that at any given time, this was a long time ago, but at any given time, we're only able to really see and make eyes on 3% of space. So we're looking this way for a big asteroid to come and kill us. But who knows? There's 97% else out there that we're just incapable of comprehending because we don't have the technology. We don't have the skill set.
The thing that always blew me away is I thought when I was looking up at the stars, I was seeing them as they are, but actually we're seeing their light that has been shuffled to us or whatever. And we're not really seeing the actual event at that time. That blew me away when I learned that.
Many light years or however they distance these things.
And those planets might not even be there.
Half of them are dark.
Yeah. Highly interesting.
7:29 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Coming up at 8:15, Arlen Morris talks about the Inquiring Minds speaker series. And the first one is a good one. You can find information under the Entertainment tab at iFIBER1newsradio.com. Under Odds and Ends, it's the top story there. Defending Your Voice, teaching soldiers how to tell their stories. Harstein Island Community Club and Humanities Washington partners, bringing Sean Wong, professor at UW in the English department, also a noted author, to Harstein Island for the Free Speakers Bureau event. What does it mean to go to war? how best can the experiences of veterans be told. This is all part of the first of the Inquiring Minds Sparking Community Conversation series. And we'll talk to Arlen Morris at 8:15, and the coffee pot will be on.
Sounds good.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. Residents spoke for and against a proposed city ordinance to loosen regulations for marijuana growers, processors, and retailers in Shelton. The Shelton City Commission conducted a public hearing Tuesday night on the proposed ordinance, but Mayor Gary Krantz and Commissioner Kathy McDowell chose to delay adoption of the ordinance in a first reading. Both wanted more time to think about it. Commissioner Tracy Moore said she was ready to consider adoption of the ordinance with a first reading. Andrew Lang, a representative of Black Diamond Biotech, which wants to locate a Shelton marijuana growing and processing operation inside the 70,000 square foot former ITT Rayonier headquarters building at 409 East Harvard Avenue, addressed the commission in an attempt to calm residents' concerns. He vowed they would install a state-of-the-art ventilation system that would contain the odor of marijuana plants grown in the commercial industrial zone, a requirement the city proposes. The commission placed the ordinance on its work session agenda for Monday at the Shelton Civic Center. Does Mason County need a lobbyist to be heard? It's an issue that's come up, and 35th District Representative Drew McEwen took issue with it on Daybreak.
The assertion has been made by a commissioner that somehow we have not been responsive to the commission, that we're not reporting to them. And I'll tell you what, I take issue. I've had a great working relationship with every jurisdiction in the 35th district, whether it's Mason Transit, whether it's Kitsap County, Thurston County. Certainly talk routinely with Senator Sheldon, who serves on the commission, with Chair Jeffries, and and obviously this is being brought up by Commissioner Netherland. I just this is not a good way to develop a relationship by saying that they've had to hire somebody because we don't talk. That just is not the case. And so this insinuation that somehow Representative Griffey and I don't communicate just is not accurate. I think there's better ways that we can work through things than.
McEwen added that he's done a check of his email and noticed he's never received an email from Commissioner Netherland, but that McEwen has emailed him. The city of Shelton plans to get the message across with new electronic community reader boards on the north and south ends of Olympic Highway leading into the city. The city commissioners on Tuesday night agreed to locate electronic billboards next to the Overlook Park turnout at Olympic Highway South and at a site coming into Shelton on Olympic Highway North within about 300 feet of East Wallace Neeland Boulevard. The signs were donated by the Mason County Public Utility District to replace the old street banners PUD installed for years across the highway. The signs will post upcoming events and scroll other information. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
Here's a way for you to green up that heating bill of yours. That is save energy and save greenbacks. Go to archmechanical.com, learn about heat pumps and zone heating. We're talking about heating and cooling equipment and systems designed to heat or cool your home. Listen, if you don't use all the rooms in your home, why heat or cool them? Check out archmechanical.com and learn more. And green up, archmechanical.com.
Alex Jones and InfoWars, weeknights 6 to 9 on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
And with Google Analytics and with Facebook behind it, they all met the same place Bilderberg met a few years ago. They met there a few years before that. They're north of London. This has all been publicly released and funded the Arab Spring, where they get the students, everybody on the street. But then the radicals use that once they take over to coup d'etat the coup. And then now you have an Islamic State over Libya, over Saudi Arabia, which is already quarterbacking it, over Syria, over Egypt.
All right, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here, iFIBER ONE News Radio. Seth Elson will be by in a short minute here to talk about salmon in the classroom. salmon up the street here with all that rain we're getting.
Oh, I know. We'll have those videos on again with fish swimming
gotta
over
get that
the
B-roll
street.
of the fish going over the road. I love it. All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here, iFIBER ONE News Radio. Jeff and Carol with you. Checking sports now. Last night at the Mini Dome on a video cast at iFIBER1newsradio.com, Wilson went on a 9-0 run to start the contest as the Rams blew by the High Climbers 73-27 last night. Star junior Josie Matz, player of the game for Wilson, game high 25 points. Freshman Timber Ware led all scorers for Shelton with 13. The Lady High Climbers will look for a big road win as they take on Central Kitsap this Friday. In about an hour, Sean Wells will be here to talk about this week's sports events and what's on deck for the weekend, including a championship NFL series that we've got for you on the radio that starts at 11. Washington beat Colorado to stay on top of the Pac-12 conference standings, 95-83 over Colorado, as I mentioned, with a win last night. Big announcement for the Seattle Sounders. Big star out of Stanford, Jordan Morris. This dude is big time. He made his national team debut in 2014, scored in 2015 in an exhibition against Mexico. He's kind of grown up in the Sounders Academy. He's 21 years old. He's a junior forward at a pair of goals to lead Stanford over Clemson 4-0 for the first of their first NCAA men's soccer title back in December. Also, he won the Herman Trophy for the top college player in soccer, much like the Heisman Trophy with football. Decided to skip his senior year at Stanford just to turn pro. His dad, Michael Morris, is the medical director for the Sounders. Boys swimming, Gig Harbor over Shelton last night, 123-65. And tonight on the radio, Gonzaga basketball at 7:40, taking on the Gales of St. Mary's. Weather forecast now is Carol Gardner.
Good morning. It's 43 and it's rainy today and tonight. Tomorrow, Friday, looks like light rain early and then remaining cloudy in the afternoon with possible thunder. Saturday, rain again early and a mix of sun and clouds in the afternoon. And Sunday looks to be a little better with clouds and sun in the morning with just a cloudy afternoon, chance of rain only about 20%. And just an FYI, milepost 8489 on US 2 is closed. The highway is closed. That was posted about 45 minutes ago by DOT, but they haven't sent any new updates that it would be open. So if you're heading over the passes, make sure you check to see if things are open due to avalanche danger. So right now,
time for us to talk a little bit about.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here, iFIBER ONE News Radio. Not quite sure what happened there. I got a lot of more buttons than I needed to get pressed there at 7:38. As I mentioned, Environmentally Sound coming up in just a few moments with Seth Elson, who was on the air earlier today. This will be a replay with salmon in the classroom. Mm-hmm. That was a real good conversation. It was. So they take these little tiny salmon eggs, and they go and the kids put them in a little aquarium, and by April they see them and they throw them out into the waters, and that's pretty cool stuff. So we'll have that conversation shortly. Coming up today, who's coming up on the show today, Carol?
Oh, we'll have Arlen Morris with the Inquiring Minds series that happens on Harsteen Island. They have a series of shows every year, and it's going to be very interesting. She's going to tell us about Sean Wong is the speaker, and he's going to be talking about stories, telling your story, finding your voice, telling your story. If you were if you were a soldier or in the military, so it should be highly interesting.
Speaking of last night, there at the Public Works, they had the Homes First program where people gathered to learn more about Homes First of Lacey and the Mason County Veterans Program there. Right. And Tammy Newton and Tom Davis were on the air with us earlier this week on Daybreak. And you can go back and watch that interview. It was a really good one, powerful one, talking about, it was just amazing to me. And maybe this ties in with what Tom and Tammy were talking about when it comes to the fact of self-identifying as a veteran. It's surprising to me that veterans, humble as they are, if they didn't see combat, the likelihood of them not acknowledging their veteran status is diminished. A better question is, have you ever served in the military to get better numbers? They're going to be out and about doing head counts at some of these veteran. There's about 21 encampments around the community, around the county. So they're going to be out there counting numbers. And I think Tom said some 6,000 vets in the county, 10% of Mason County. So it's about 6,000 people are veterans. We're unsure of a hard number on the homeless veteran population. It's very fluid. But this Homes First last night, standing room only. The pictures that I saw, people getting out there and wanting to get involved in helping those folks for sure. 7:41. Who else is coming on the show today?
We're going to have Mike Patty with our Focus on Shelton segment that we have every Thursday, and probably talk to us about all things fire safety.
Yeah, there's a big storms brewing in the East Coast, like cold weather storms, and people were fortunate right now to just have some rain, but I can imagine eventually we're going to have another cold snap here, and people need to remain cautious and vigilant that they're not starting propane fires in their home, or there's proper ventilation, or if you start feeling woozy at all, you need to fix. I remember a story, and Mike maybe will be able to share it, of I think somebody went over to a friend's house, gets in, and nobody's conscious. Because of carbon monoxide or some
and
sort
we actually just had somebody tell us the other day that they got a call in the morning because there was like a heater, seemed like a heater fire, and then he's like, call the fire department. She's like, oh no, it seems to be fine now. But then he's thinking, well, maybe it could have gone up the wall also. So those are things to think about. So I don't know, we'll hear from Mike on all things safe.
Very nice. And Sean Wells will be in at 8:30 to talk with us about the sports over the week and what he's got looking forward to over the weekend. He's been up in the North Mason area with North Mason High School doing some of their wrestling programs. Great write-ups and recaps from both of our new reporters here in town, Sean Wells and Jeff Chu. You can find them prominent on iFIBER1NewsRadio.com. Jeff Chu, brings us three of the main lead stories on iFIBER1NewsRadio.com from the City Commission meeting. So you can check those out under the local news tab. Also kind of a new look to some of the sections with a new odds and ends area under entertainment. And then latest news is where a lot of folks are commenting and where we appreciate and will often read your comments on the air based, if they're appropriate. The other big story is this JBLM planning these rocket test fires. It's going to be loud for folks around JBLM, DuPont, Yelm, Roy, maybe even booming. Maybe hear it in the distance, even out here.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Taylor Shellfish is a proud sponsor of the Environmentally Sound program. For 5 generations, the Taylor family's been stewards of a healthy and prosperous Puget Sound. In partnership with nature, Taylor Shellfish brings you the freshest, most sustainable shellfish you'll ever eat. Visit their store at 136 Southeast Lynch Road. Open daily from 10 to 6. And they're online at TaylorShellfishFarms.com.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom31.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom31.com. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom31.com.
Environmentally Sound is brought to you by Taylor's Shellfish Farms, Mason County Garbage, and Green Diamond Resource Company. Environmentally Sound is also available on demand on the environmental page of MasonCountyDailyNews.com.
Time for us to talk a little bit about the environment, and we are happy to have the program development lead for the Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group in the Salmon Center. It's Seth Ellison. Morning, Seth.
Morning. How are you guys doing?
Good. There you are. Happy New Year.
Yeah, you as well. Can't believe it's already almost the end of January now.
I know, right? Wow. Really excited to find out. We'll be seeing a lot more of you here on the show, maybe every other week or something like that for the duration. And we're going to talk today about salmon in the classroom.
Yeah.
What is that about?
So Salmon in the Classroom is a really cool long-running program that's a cooperative program that's been led by the Department of Fish and Wildlife in the past, but due to budget cuts back in about 2000, 2001, the program was handed off to different local entities around the state. So in our instance for Hood Canal, would be the Salmon Center. And what it's all about is trying to get salmon in the classroom and getting youth exposed to salmon for the first time. And so what we do is we set up tanks in classrooms for third graders at Belfair Elementary and Sand Hill Elementary, both in Belfair, and we bring in eggs, and we go in a couple times, 3 times throughout the spring and late winter, talk about habitat needs, water quality, and salmon in general. And so through that, the kids learn about water quality. They actually take care of the tank, feed the fish, and it all kind of comes to an end in late April as they release the fish and do a whole big day of activities and release, and it's really cool to see.
So from the first day of school or so, they put the eggs in the basket, and then you see what happens by the end of school.
Yes, we come in about this time in January. So last week, actually, we went and delivered the eggs to both schools, and the kids from all the third grade classes lined up, and I handed them all an individual egg to drop in. And so they'll be developing here soon. They're eyed eggs right now, and so over the next couple of months, they'll be developing into par and smolt and be released.
Wow. How many kids or so, you think?
We've got about 160 or so third graders in the Belfair area. So that's our continuum mark. And in past years, we've gone around to some different schools, such as Grapeview, to help give presentations as well. So, but at least in the Belfair area alone, we're about 160 kids strong.
What type of salmon are they?
They are fall chum eggs. So they're fall chum eggs that are given to us by the George Adams Hatchery on the Skokomish River. So we just went and picked them up last week and dropped them off. And so Fish and Wildlife remains a very strong partner in the program to help us make it possible.
How big will they be when eventually you release them?
They'll be probably about 3 inches long or so, still relatively small, but they'll go into Sweetwater Creek there in Belfair, which runs along Belfair Elementary and the Theller Center, and they'll develop a little bit and imprint in the creek and make their way out into the canal, and then come back pretty strong there a couple of years later.
On a day-to-day basis, is there a lot of change that the kids could see? Or, for example, like spring break, when they come back from spring break, will that be a big change, a big difference?
Yeah, it can. It's really more on kind of a week-to-week basis. So you won't see it as much on a day-to-day basis, but from week to week, you'll start to see changes in how much they're eating, how big they get. The change just from, like I said, eyed egg to alevin and so on, where they start to look a lot different. And the biggest thing too is the kids really love it when they start to get their par marks. So the funny little lines, for most people on the sides, and so they'll start to make those kind of physiological developments and right before they get released.
And how long have you guys been doing this program?
We've been doing this program for about 15 or so years as the lead right now.
Wow.
And so we work with, like I said, all the third grade teachers, and we've got a great program going there, and we try to work with other local schools as needed to provide the curriculum and activities as well. So.
It's a great idea to have that hands-on, because then they can understand what's happening, especially now. It's so important. We talked yesterday about the ocean and climate change, and all that stuff's affecting our
exactly, and we see a lot of importance in getting these kids involved early on. And so if we can, whatever we can do to help that along, we want to be doing it. And it's cool as we go in and present these ideas to them, talk about pH to third graders. At first their looks are all over the place, but then, by the end of the spring, they know how to monitor pH, what good pH is, things like that. And so it's pretty advanced, and it's really cool. The kids love it. And
What would you say the amount of kids that vice versa that are familiar with this, how from egg to fish to spawn, whatever, versus a kid that has never even seen this, let alone when you put it in their hands to drop in the bin? What's the ratio, you think?
That's a hard one. It'd be hard to put a number on that, but I think the biggest thing is just trying to get more kids involved with this. For as big as salmon are in our culture here in the Northwest and our economy and everything else, it ties in so many ways. It's really important to get that. And unfortunately, we're still seeing a lot of kids that just don't get that experience. They're not getting outside of the classroom, and it's hard for a number of different reasons. And so, again, that's kind of a bigger picture for us. It's not just salmon in the classroom, but also just getting more classrooms down to the Salmon Center to come and help us, sample water and learn about water quality, learn about wildlife and fisheries, and just kind of exposing the bigger picture.
Probably be good to get some volunteers to help more voices out there. How can people volunteer?
Definitely. You can always check out our website, pnwsalmoncenter.org. You can also give us a call at 360-275-3575. Right now, we've got 2 opportunities kind of ongoing or coming up. We've got a big community garden, if people aren't aware, that we run all year. So people can come down and rent a plot and garden at the Salmon Center. Really nice setting. And so we need volunteers to kind of help us build it up again for the year as far as doing some maintenance. And then the other big thing is the Hood Canal Steelhead Project, and we'll be back probably sometime in the next few weeks to talk about that. But we trap juvenile steelhead on local rivers, and so we send out a volunteer crew daily for a couple hours to the Tahuya and Duato, and another crew goes all the way up to Quilcene, and so that will require a lot of bodies, and it's a lot of fun to get in there and see them and help sample them. So those are kind of the 2 big things we're looking for help on right now.
Great. Well, we'll continue to put out the information on our website and here on Daybreak during Environmentally Sound. Seth Elson, Program Development Lead for the Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group and the Salmon Center. pnwsalmoncenter.org is the website.
Correct. And you can find us on Facebook and Twitter as well.
Very nice. Thank you, Seth.
Thank you.
The Chad Benson Show.
You want to be a billionaire? You find where there's a problem. Then you create a solution to said problem, but you don't cure it. It's not the end-all, the be-all. You continually have to have it. If it's a disease, there's no money in the cure, there's money in the disease. The Democrats, it's about getting voters, just like for the Republicans.
The Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, live weekdays, 3 to 6 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAN and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
$7:52 here at iFIBER ONE. Saw this story yesterday, and it was popped up on our Facebook feed, and it seems like it's happy days are here again. I mean, is there nothing that this country cannot do? I'm not talking about us, U.S. I'm talking about our very secretive neighbors north of South Korea, the North Koreans.
The North Koreans, they say they have invented hangover-free alcohol.
Now, I haven't had any booze in a long time, so I would imagine that I would be, it wouldn't take much to give me a hangover. So this could be something that I may think about here. What's the story?
Wait till I finish the story, and then you can decide. Okay. Well, the state newspaper, and I'm not going to say the name because I will probably butcher it. Pyongyang, maybe?
Yeah, Pyongyang. That's their capital there.
Okay, Pyongyang Times.
Great paper.
Their state newspaper. Yeah, I'm sure you check it out every day.
It's a state run.
Yeah. Says the Suave liquor. And some of this stuff that I'm reading on this site that's the BBC.
Okay.
You know, it's been translated from North Korean into English.
Sure.
So the words don't always work exactly, right? So the state newspaper says this Suave liquor will spare you wincing when you wake.
Okay.
Despite boasting a 30 to 40% alcohol.
Still not a bad amount. Still not a bad percentage.
Yeah. So the brew is reportedly made from a type of indigenous ginseng called insam and glutinous rice, cultivated by an organic farming method, though, of course. But, you know, North Korea media is known for making often outlandish claims about its domestic achievements. I mean, last year it said it the insulin plant could cure MERS, SARS, and even AIDS.
So this insulin plant is
it's
big time.
Yeah, crazy.
Ginseng, though, people are... I was watching Moonshiners yesterday on the Discovery Channel.
Mm-hmm.
Don't moonshine, it's illegal. But I was watching the show, and they said, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, we could be in this location and we would never see a human for 6 months. And now there's so many moonshiners, hunters, ginsengers. And that's the thing. People go out and they find this ginseng.
Mm-hmm.
If it's made out of ginseng, I'm not saying that it could not happen.
Right. I mean, well...
That's a powerful, potent, positive drug. Ginseng.
Right. Yeah, but the thing is when you ferment it into an alcohol, your body reacts to it differently than just the main plant.
So you're telling me, regardless of what's in it, how it's made is what causes people to get the hangovers?
Well, I'm not a scientist, even though I pretend I am sometimes on the show. That's what I would say. But, I don't know. I don't know exactly how they make it, except for what they tell us. So it's a 6-year-old. It's I don't know. All I know is that the spirit is highly appreciated by experts and lovers. So they interviewed some guy who travels to North Key on business, and he said that the liquors were okay, but it's not really a tasty treat. Didn't mention though if you got a hangover.
The old president of North Korea played golf for the first time and got 18 holes in one.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
It is the most difficult time of year to keep your car clean, but also the most important. Some winter care advice today from the Old Farmer's Almanac. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Thursday, January 21st, the 21st day of the year. Golf champ Jack Nicklaus and the legendary disc jockey Wolfman Jack were born on this day. If you live in the snow belt, you know what road salt and grime can do to your car's finish. Even after a thorough wash, it's not long before it's a rolling powdered donut again. So how often should you wash your car in the winter? Experts we surveyed agreed that twice a month is a good balance between protecting your car and depleting your pocketbook. They also recommend an outdoor temperature of 30 degrees or higher to prevent frozen door locks and seals. During extended cold snaps, use a do-it-yourself sprayer to knock the excess gunk from your wheel wells and undercarriage. That's the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Learn more and get our advice of the day at almanac.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. Coming up on 8 o'clock, got some great guests. Last minute booking between Arlen Morris and the Inquiring Minds series conversation and the news at 8:30. We're going to get Tammy Newton on the line, on the horn, and we'll talk with her about, see, that's all yesterday's. We'll talk with her about last night's Homes First meeting at the Public Works building. She sent me some photos that she passed along also to Jeff Chu, our newest reporter. And yeah, standing room only. People out there learning more about this program and what it can do to help the homeless veterans in Mason County, and then hopefully use this as a launch pad to be able to, better serve the rest of the homeless population. It was interesting, this story on the news this past week about Seattle. 2 different homeless stories. Ed Murray, the mayor up there, he declared a state of emergency on homelessness. If you remember, we asked that question during our forums, our debates during the election season. We asked if there should be a state of emergency. There's kind of like a guffaw from the crowd. Like, why would you ask this question, state of emergency? But Portland did it, LA did it, Seattle did it.
Because it is something that obviously has to be addressed. And
it is. I mean, people just walk in off the street and they start looking in windows and you just don't know what you're going to do with them. So anyways, that's going on there. And so Ed Murray's got this story.
Not quite sure what that meant, but I'm rolling with it.
You'll figure it out here soon enough.
All right.
But we have
I gotcha. All right. I look up and I see a homeless person that
He's in here
maybe he's
coming
living in his car.
Well, that's what I meant to say is that they've got the 2 parking lots that they're going to open up, and then there's like 12 new tiny homes that are coming to fruition.
Right.
And so I think that the need is there for sure.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Dave Ramsey helps you handle your money. Weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER ONE News Radio. AM 1030, FM 103.3, KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase.
We're bracing for the first big storm of the winter.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio says he's ready for the first significant snowfall of the year.
Currently, we're assuming 8 to 12 inches of snow, plus strong winds and possible coastal flooding.
Winter weather advisories are up in 20 states ahead of the big storm bearing down on the mid-Atlantic coast. Virginia and Washington, D.C. have both declared states of emergency. They could get more than a foot of snow. Investors initially seemed weary of shredding your 401k. The Dow started the day with an upswing, though not a big one, but that was followed by a small downturn that put the market back in negative territory. It's now up 150 points. Walmart workers are about to see their personal economies improve. ABC's Aaron Katersky explains.
A month from now, Walmart's 1.1 million hourly employees will get a raise. Minimum wage workers will make $10 an hour. Others are in for a bump of at least 2%. Walmart's trying to be more competitive among big employers of hourly workers. McDonald's and Starbucks have recently raised their pay. Walmart's also trying to retain workers in a sector known for turnover. Average hourly pay for full-time Walmart store employees will be $13.38, still more than $1 below the average in retail.
Will Smith says he was knocked out and extremely proud when he heard that his wife, Jada, had taken to YouTube to call for a boycott of the Oscars because of lack of a diversity in the nominations.
I was out of the country at the time, and I came home. What happened?
He also says the nominations reflect what's really happening in society. He also said diversity is a power that makes America great. T-Mobile is raising eyebrows by posting instructions for a drinking game you can play, while Verizon announces its quarterly earnings numbers, urging players to take a shot every time they hear millennial. Sarah Palin is causing a stir by seeming to blame President Obama for her son's domestic dispute arrest. She pointed to the president's decision to send troops abroad as the reason her son came home with trauma. This is ABC News.
You've walked through 18 open houses. Your feet hurt and your head is buzzing. Living in a van is starting to sound strangely appealing. But then you hear it. The sound of hope, of Zillow. You glance at your phone to see a 3-bedroom Craftsman in the right school district. It's perfect, and it just showed up on your phone, like magic. So sign up for mobile alerts, and we'll send you homes that fit your criteria when they hit the market. And to think, you wanted to live in a van. Zillow. Find your way home.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Call Quicken Loans now to see if you qualify for the government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. And for 6 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction. And for the second year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN or visit QuickenLoans.com.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Embattled Michigan Governor Rick Snyder has released more than 200 pages of emails chronicling how his office handled the Flint water crisis. ABC's Ryan Burrow has details.
The email chatter began in January of 2014, even before Flint switched its water over to the Flint River. In September of 2015, Governor Rick Snyder's former chief of staff emails that some in Flint are using the issue of children's health as a political football. Dennis Muchmore says that the responsibility of the crisis lies with county and city officials. In October, Snyder orders changes at Michigan's Department of Environmental Quality. Snyder voluntarily released the emails. Ryan Burrow, ABC News.
Some of your favorite sitcom stars will appear in an upcoming TV special tribute to longtime director James Burrows. Cast members from Friends, with the exception of Matthew Perry, will be there. And we'll also see Cheers stars Ted Danson, Shelley Long, Baby Newirth, Rhea Perlman, John Ratzenberger, and George Wendt. Also making appearances, Big Bang Theory stars. Karen Chase, ABC.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. Residents spoke for and against a proposed city ordinance to loosen regulations for marijuana growers, processors, and retailers in Shelton. The Shelton City Commission conducted a public hearing Tuesday night on the proposed ordinance, but Mayor Gary Krantz and Commissioner Kathy McDowell chose to delay adoption of the ordinance in a first reading. Both wanted more time to think about it. Commissioner Tracy Morris said she was ready to consider adoption of the ordinance with a first reading. Andrew Lang, a representative of Black Diamond Biotech, which wants to locate a Shelton marijuana growing and processing operation inside the 70,000 square foot former ITT Rayonier headquarters building at 409 East Harvard Avenue, addressed the commission in an attempt to calm residents' concerns. He vowed they would install a state-of-the-art ventilation system that would contain the odor of marijuana plants grown in the commercial industrial zone, a requirement the city proposes. The commission placed the ordinance on its work session agenda for Monday at the Shelton Civic Center. Does Mason County need a lobbyist to be heard? It's an issue that's come up, and 35th District Representative Drew McEwen took issue with it on Daybreak.
The assertion has been made by a commissioner that somehow we have not been responsive to the commission, that we're not reporting to them. I'll tell you what, I take issue. I've had a great working relationship with every jurisdiction in the 35th district, whether it's Mason Transit, whether it's Kitsap County, Thurston County. Certainly talk routinely with Senator Sheldon, who serves on the commission, with Chair Jeffries, and and obviously this is being brought up by Commissioner Netherland. I just this is not a good way to develop a relationship by saying that they've had to hire somebody because we don't talk. That just is not the case, and so this insinuation that somehow Representative Griffey and I don't communicate just is not accurate. I think there's better ways that we can work through things than.
McEwen added that he's done a check of his email and noticed he's never received an email from Commissioner Netherland, but that McEwen has emailed him. The city of Shelton plans to get the message across with new electronic community reader boards on the north and south ends of Olympic Highway leading into the city. The city commissioners on Tuesday night agreed to locate electronic billboards next to the Overlook Park turnout at Olympic Highway South and at a site coming into Shelton on Olympic Highway North within about 300 feet of East Wallace Neeland Boulevard. The signs were donated by the Mason County Public Utility District to replace the old street banners PUD installed for years across the highway. The signs will post upcoming events and scroll other information. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Previously on the Under the Hood Show.
This would be Glenn.
Hey, Glenn, go ahead.
I've got an 87 Honda that I just picked up for a song, like $100, and it runs beautifully at 305,000 miles.
Quite impressive.
But when you start it, you have to start it 3 times to get the automatic choke to kick in properly.
So what, Glenn? It was $100.
Go Under the Hood, Saturdays at noon on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3. Ascend Roofing Company in Shelton's on top of it. 868-2730. Roofing work that speaks for itself.
Just a note to express our appreciation for restoring our faith in a handshake. You did what you said you would, and that's all anyone can expect.
We truly appreciate the work that was done. And your son Ryan is a wonderful representative of your company. Thank you again for making the gutters clean and our roof moss resistant.
You could be the next happy customer by calling Ascend Roofing. 868-2730.
Another Warriors win. West Virginia and Michigan State fall. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. In Chicago, looking up at all those championship banners in the United Center, Warriors guard Stephen Curry focused on one, the 72-win banner from the 95-96 Bulls team. Aiming for that record, Golden State improved to 39-4 last night.
Curry hook pass to Clay. Left side, his three. That's good. And the Warriors have blown this wide open again.
On KNBR, Warriors spanked the Bulls 125-94. Curry scored 25. Derrick Rose 29. And Dallas Mavs and T-Wolves went to overtime.
Up the right side to Parsons, left to Matthews, back to Parsons, drives on Muhammad, hanging, banking, scoring!
On KESN, Mavericks take it 106-94 without Dirk Nowitzki. Chandler Parsons 30 points. Rookie Karl Anthony Towns 27.17 boards. DeMarcus Cousins rattled the Lakers with 36 points and 16 rebounds.
Wide open, Caspi for three, misses it badly. Grabbed by Cousins, back up, back in, and he's fouled. DeMarcus Cousins
On KHTK, Sacramento over the Lakers 112-93. The Kings have won 3 straight and 6 of 9. College hoops, number 6 West Virginia losing at home last night.
Nancy to Lammert for 3. The lefty got it. Big 3-ball for Connor Lammert.
On ESPN Texas, a 56-49 winner in Morgantown. Number 11 Michigan State lost at home to Nebraska.
6 on the shot clock. In the paint, the jump hook. Got it! Shalon Fields hits it to get Nebraska the 4-point lead. 16 seconds to go.
On the Huskers IMG Sports Network, Nebraska 72-71 as the Spartans suffer its 3rd straight loss. To the NFL, the Buffalo Bills making history by hiring Catherine Smith as the first full-time female member of an NFL coaching staff. ESPN Bills reporter Mike Rodak.
It's going to be a lot of film breakdown. It's what a lot of quality control coaches do. I would assume she'd have some duties on game day, too, that might not be fully developed right now.
Australian Open, Andy Murray, Stan Wawrinka, and Victoria Azarenka advanced to the 3rd round. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
8:11 on a Thursday morning, and a good morning to you. It's Daybreak here, iFIBER ONE News Radio with Jeff and Carol. Carol, check the weather in just a second. It's wet out there. Also hearing reports of some backups on 101 near Olympia we'll tell you about in just a moment. Sports now on the radio. Last night at the Mini Dome, Wilson went on a 9-0 run to start the contest, and the Rams blew by the High Climbers 73-27 last night. Freshman Timber Ware led all scorers for Shelton with 13 points. The Lady High Climbers will look for a big road win as they take on Central Kitsap this Friday. Sean Wells will be in about 20 minutes to talk about this week's sports events and what's on deck for the weekend. Big signing statement announcement going on. They call it a significant club event for the Seattle Sounders, and then all indications are pointing to the signing of this Stanford star, Jordan Morris. This guy is big time. He's a pro. He was going to sign in Germany, and then they said, nah, I see myself more in America. And the German club announced that decision, which leads us to believe he'll be signing with the Sounders. He played for the Sounders Academy. 21-year-old junior forward, a pair of goals that helped lead Stanford over Clemson 4-0 for their first NCAA men's soccer title. Got the Herman Trophy as well as the top college player. His dad, Dr. Michael Morris, is the medical director for the Sounders. Checking the scoreboards, high school basketball, Timberline boys 89 over Yelm 73. Girls high school basketball, North Thurston over Capital in a squeaker 45-42. Timberline over Yelm. And in boys swimming, Gig Harbor over Shelton 123-65. Tonight on iFIBER ONE News Radio, Gonzaga basketball at 7:40. They'll be taking on St. Mary's. And currently the forecast, here's Carol.
Good morning. It's 44 and it's raining outside right now, today and tonight. Tomorrow looks like rain early and then remaining cloudy in the afternoon with thunder possible. Saturday, rain again early and a mix of sun and clouds in the afternoon. Sunday, a little bit better in the morning with just clouds and sun in the morning, then sort of a cloudy afternoon. Chance of rain's only about 20% on Sunday, and right now it's 44.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak, providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You, from business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
That's 8:13 here at iFIBER ONE. I got a text in from my stepmom this morning, roving traffic reporter for us. Big long backup 101 heading I-5 into Olympia past Black Lake. So if you're heading towards the state capitol today, there could be a little bit of a slowdown.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
You answered all your emails by noon. Get a freshly prepared Egg McMuffin. Actually left work on time? Then get yourself a savory sausage McMuffin with egg. You saw the weirdest midnight movie. Well, get a delicious sausage burrito. With McDonald's all-day breakfast menu, you can get delectable breakfast tastes anytime. Egg McMuffin, hotcakes and sausage and more. It's time to start enjoying the breakfast you love whenever you want. Just listen to a radio commercial, get some golden hash browns. McDonald's all-day breakfast menu varies by location.
This love letter's for my sweet beauty. Your scent drives me all sorts of cray. Every time you touch my lips, ooh, how it makes my day. Rich, smooth, fresh, and steamy. Dang, you're a dream. So let me give you some sugar, and then perhaps some cream. There's no denying your love for a rich, smooth, fresh brewed McCafe. And now, get any size for just $1. A la carte only. Prices and participation may vary. Limited time offer.
Habitat for Humanity of Mason County invites you to shop their local retail stores in Belfair and in Shelton. At Habitat for Humanity stores, you'll find amazing bargains on discounted home improvement supplies, gently used furniture, and so much more. And when you shop Habitat for Humanity, your dollars are put to work helping to improve, build, and maintain affordable housing right here in Mason County. Habitat for Humanity. Let's build a strong community together.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER One News Radio with Jeff and Carol, and we've got a special guest in studio right now. Carol, who do we have on deck right now?
Well, we have Arlen Morris.
Hi, Arlen. How are you?
I am really good. Glad to be here. I love coming in and visiting with you guys.
We start the new Inquiring Minds Sparking Community Conversation series soon, and you're here to tell us about the first speaker and then what else we can expect to hear from this great series on Harstein Island. So,
well, soon is Sunday.
Yeah. Ooh.
Sunday is the first of our series. As it's Professor Sean Wong from the University of Washington Department of Education. Of English. I used to be a teacher. And the University of Washington has a partnership with Fort Lewis McCord. Did I hear this morning? How do they say it? JBLM. With a partnership with the base. And it is called the Red Badge Project. And it is teaching soldiers how to tell their stories. Defending Your Voice is the main title of the project. And, I was thinking about it myself. I go back a few generations. I've talked to Second World War vets. They're kind of hard to come by these days. Mm-hmm. Over the years, because I'm interested, I lived in California when I was 3 years old, and we had blackout curtains, and my dad was a block watch person. And the war, it was very indelible war. And I was thinking how over the years that I've asked vets, tell me your story. Tell me, what do you want? Tell me about it. And many, many times just met with silence, that they really just couldn't tell their stories. I'm married to a Vietnam vet. Some of his stories he can't tell. And some things that he experienced in that war have stuck with him in very real ways. It's sort of interesting. So I can't think of anything better to start this year, and it's very timely because I know the commission is talking about shelters for homeless vets. Who do we need to be taking care of that are vets?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it a lot, so I'm glad our speakers are chosen by the community club. We don't choose them individually as a community. We let them nominate from the 30 speakers that are available, and then they vote on them. They vote who they would like to have, and the ones that they've chosen for this year are just dynamite.
So again, this is coming up this Sunday. And it sounds to me like veterans, family members of veterans, and even anyone who's ever had any kind of interaction with a veteran would benefit from hearing this conversation with Dr. Wong.
I think so. I mean, I believe, what do I mean? I think so. I believe it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure that there's a lot of stories out there that are yet to be told, and even somebody who's is non-connected with the Red Badge Project can start thinking about, maybe it's time that I told my story. Maybe it's time that my family knew. And maybe there's something I want to share with the wider audience.
Mm-hmm.
So that's yes, our doors open at 1:30. We start the program actually at 1:45, but the program actually starts at 2. So the speaker is usually on from 2 to 3. Coffee pots on. We encourage people to come early, visit with each other. And, you know, we do have people that come from all over Mason County.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a neat thing. The first thing people ask or say when you say, I live on Hartstein Island, say, oh, you got a lot of stuff going on out there. And we do. And it's not just for us. We try to share with the whole county some of the neat things that are happening on Hartstein in our 100-year-old community hall.
And a relic in itself. I mean, you can go to the Hartstein Island Community Hall and spend a day just talking and learning about the building itself.
It's like a little museum, honestly, and we've kind of kept it that way. I'd like to take a minute to talk a little bit about a couple of the upcoming,
please,
in the rest of the rest of the series. Next month, very timely, is Dr. David Fenner. He's a retired University of Washington prof from the Department of International Education, and his topic is Islam 101.
Whoa.
Yes. Perceptions, misconceptions, and a context for 21st century. And I actually heard him when he did his jury presentation. All these speakers are juried. And he's very, very good. Very good. And treats it in a balanced way and very timely for currently. Then in March, we have Dr. David Schultz, who is from Trinity Lutheran in Everett, but he's talking about contours of public opinion. What do we remember? What do we forget? How do we collectively decide what we're going to remember or forget? What's our source? Who told us the stories? Where did we hear them? Where did we read them? Media comes into that. What was reported on radio, in newspapers. And I also heard him in his initial presentation, and he's going to be dynamite too. So all of them start at 1:45. I can't think of a better place to come on a Sunday afternoon when you haven't got anything else to do.
Oh, yeah.
Just come to Hartstein Island. So that's kind of what we've got going for the series this year.
Head out Highway 3 towards Allen and Belfair and take a right on Pickering.
Right, and just keep going. You can't, point the left at the bridge.
Okay,
One of the things I'd like to leave you with is these speakers come from Humanities Washington.
Right.
Humanities Washington is an organization that is supported by the state, private donations, and the National Endowment for the Humanities. So it's a nationally connected organization. There are 30 speakers on this particular roster for this next year that the range of talent is just incredible. The range of topics is just incredible. I left you with my last catalog, so I can't tell you a lot succinctly about the other speakers, but it's really, really easy. All you have to do is go to humanities.org. How easy is that?
Pretty good.
And just call up the Speakers Bureau, and they'll give you full bios on all of them. And the best thing is that they are free to any nonprofit. Humanities Washington picks up the speaker tab, which is it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is come up with travel expenses. And they now have even grants to organizations that want to bring somebody in, but they don't have the travel funds to make that happen. So that's kind of new this year, which I think is remarkable, because the Hartstein Choir in June is going to bring somebody all the way from Spokane to talk about recording sounds of music from nature.
Oh, wow.
So there's the full picture of what's coming up on Hartstein Island.
Well,
So-
keep us apprised and keep coming back. We want to talk about the next one before it happens. It's this Sunday out at the community center on Hartstein Island. Dr. Sean Wong, he is a professor at the UW for the English department, and Defending Your Voice, teaching soldiers how to tell their stories. Thank you so much, Arlen. Great to see you.
I'm looking to come back in March.
I'm looking to have you here in March. I like it.
Booked.
All right, it's 8:25 here now at iFIBER ONE News Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get Tammy Newton on the horn to see how last night's Home's first meeting got underway. That's coming up next here on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Habitat for Humanity of Mason County invites you to shop their local retail stores in Belfair and in Shelton. At Habitat for Humanity stores, you'll find amazing bargains on discounted home improvement supplies, gently used furniture, and so much more. And when you shop Habitat for Humanity, your dollars are put to work helping to improve, build, and maintain affordable housing right here in Mason County. Habitat for Humanity. Let's build a strong community together.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Get Karnowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving, baseline, and a two-handed throw-down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here, iFIBER ONE News Radio. Great conversation with Arlen Morris. On the phone line right now is Tammy Newton. And morning, Tammy.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
We are well, and we saw some great photos from last night's meeting at Public Works about Homes First, and you and Tom Davis were on the air earlier this week. Tell us about how the turnout was and what you guys came up with.
Oh, goodness. Well, you know what? Graduation Matters really set the bar with community involvement. And I think maybe we were able to capture a little bit of momentum from everything they've got going on. We had such a great turnout. We had standing room only. We had, Denny Heck was there. Congressman Heck, who gave a phenomenal speech. We'll talk about, just homelessness and veterans and how important it is to help folks get housed. And we also heard from our county commissioner, Terry Jeffries, as well as our city commissioner, Tracy Moore, and Bud Blake from Thurston County, fan of your show. And, Kismet. Yeah, Bud. I met Bud when I filled in for Dale one morning, and so he came out to talk with us about the successes that they've had in Thurston County and how they're doing that, and how Homes First has really been such a critical element to their solution. So it was a phenomenal turnout. We couldn't be happier.
What's the next step then for us here in this process?
Yeah, so it's exciting stuff. So the next step, we have a property that we are looking at. As you guys know, the county set aside $100,000 for us to help solve homelessness for our veterans here in the community. So we have a piece of property that we're actually having conversations and have extended an offer on. We don't know what's going to happen if, you enter into that process, and anything can happen. So, we're not giving a lot of details. What we will say is that if for some reason this one doesn't happen, then, we'll find another property and work up another pro forma and go through that process again. But we're hopeful that this will be a great solution, because it really would provide us with 4 to 6 apartments and a shelter component. And finding a property like that in the area always has a challenge. But the next steps are really to get through that negotiation phase and work with Homes First. As we mentioned on the radio last week, they own the property and they become the landlord, and then work with our veterans mentors and other nonprofits to pull the rest of it together. So it's great because it's a little more than an idea, because we actually have some forward-moving momentum already and some exciting stuff to talk about. And yet at the same time, we're not there where we can, make the big announcement of, all right, we're moving to that next phase.
Well, it all sounds really good, and what a great cross-section of folks you got together there last night talking about this thing. It's a big topic, and it's all around us right now. We're paying attention to it. Thank you, Tammy, for checking in with us this morning on that, and keep us updated on the progress.
Will do. Thanks so much, Jeff. Carol, you guys have a beautiful day.
Thanks, Tammy.
Bye.
By 8:29 here at iFIBER One News Radio, we're going to check the morning stock numbers here and then get to the latest in local news with Mary Lynn Foster. But first, on the line from Edward Jones. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Sherry.
Hi, Sherry. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Good.
Karen's had some problems on the road today, so you're going to have to put up with me this morning.
Oh, Sherry, it's no problem. You do a great job. I am noticing and seeing there's a lot of rain out there and could cause some problems as people are making their way in and out of the county. So be advised, if you're out driving, you could get stuck in it like Karen is right now.
That's right.
How's the market?
Well, this morning we got the U.S. stocks are gaining as crude oil prices rebound, and after the European Central Bank's president indicated the bank may take additional measures in March to boost the economy. In domestic economic news, the number of applications for unemployment increased last week to a 6-month high, indicating tempered process in the labor market. A separate report showed factory activity in the Mid-Atlantic region improved in January as shipments rebounded, but it is still contracting. U.S. bond prices are little changed. So far this morning in the S&P 500, the best sector is energy and the worst is utilities. The Dow Jones average is up 172.17 at 15,938. The Standard & Poor's 500 index is up 15.85 at 1,875. The NASDAQ is up 38.72 at 4,510. This morning, the volume in the New York Stock Exchange is high at about 312.54 million shares traded. Our advancers are outnumbering decliners by roughly a 5-2 margin. In commodity markets, gold is down $7.57 to $1,092.37. The spot price for silver is down 23 cents to $13.92, and crude oil prices are up 6 cents to $28.41. In bond markets, the 30-year Treasury is currently at 2.78%, and the 10-year is at 2.1%. In local stocks today, we've got Amazon, which is up $12.37. Costco is up 94 cents. Boeing is up $1.74. Starbucks is up $1.57, and Microsoft is up 57. This is Sherry of Edward Jones, a member of the SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial care at 1051 Southeast State Route 3, Suite E, and you can reach us at 426-4590. I hope everyone has a great day. Bye.
Thanks, Sherry. We'll talk to you next time. It's 8:32 now, and time for us to look at the latest in local news with Mary Lynn Foster. And Sean Wells is coming up next to preview this weekend's sportscast and talk about the week that was.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. Residents spoke for and against a proposed city ordinance to loosen regulations for marijuana growers, processors, and retailers in Shelton. The Shelton City Commission conducted a public hearing Tuesday night on the proposed ordinance, but Mayor Gary Krantz and Commissioner Kathy McDowell chose to delay adoption of the ordinance in a first reading. Both wanted more time to think about it. Commissioner Tracy Moore said she was ready to consider adoption of the ordinance with a first reading. Andrew Lang, a representative of Black Diamond Biotech, which wants to locate a Shelton marijuana growing and processing operation inside the 70,000 square foot former ITT Rayonier headquarters building at 409 East Harvard Avenue, addressed the commission in an attempt to calm residents' concerns. He vowed they would install a state-of-the-art ventilation system that would contain the odor of marijuana plants grown in the commercial industrial zone, a requirement the city proposes. The commission placed the ordinance on its work session agenda for Monday at the Shelton Civic Center. Does Mason County need a lobbyist to be heard? It's an issue that's come up, and 35th District Representative Drew McEwen took issue with it on Daybreak.
The assertion has been made by a commissioner that somehow we have not been responsive to the commission, that we're not reporting to them. And I'll tell you what, I take issue. I've had a great working relationship with every jurisdiction in the 35th district, whether it's Mason Transit, whether it's Kitsap County, Thurston County. Certainly talk routinely with Senator Sheldon, who serves on the commission, with Chair Jeffries, and and obviously this is being brought up by Commissioner Netherland. I just this is not a good way to develop a relationship by saying that they've had to hire somebody because we don't talk. That just is not the case, and so this insinuation that somehow Representative Griffey and I don't communicate just is not accurate. I think there's better ways that we can work through things than.
McEwen added that he's done a check of his email and noticed he's never received an email from Commissioner Netherland, but that McEwen has emailed him. The city of Shelton plans to get the message across with new electronic community reader boards on the north and south ends of Olympic Highway leading into the city. The city commissioners on Tuesday night agreed to locate electronic billboards next to the Overlook Park turnout at Olympic Highway South and at a site coming into Shelton on Olympic Highway North within about 300 feet of East Wallace Nealon Boulevard. The signs were donated by the Mason County Public Utility District to replace the old street banners PUD installed for years across the highway. The signs will post upcoming events and scroll other information. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Gillis Auto Center in Shelton. Best deals, best price, best trade, and low payments. And when you think Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram truck, think family-owned Gillis Auto Center. With the year-end clearance event going on right now, the 2015s are drastically reduced and have to go before you purchase a new car or truck anywhere else. Do yourself a solid and check with Gillis Auto Center first for the best savings. We'll meet or beat any deal. See Gillis for details. At the City Center Mount Lock exit and 24/7 at GillisAutoCenter.com.
Good morning to you. It's iFIBER ONE Newsradio.com. Daybreak, and Jeff and Carol are welcomed into studio now as we get things situated on the video and the YouTube webcast with Sports Director Sean Wells. He's coming in here, and morning, Sean. How you doing?
Good morning. Good, Jeff.
Good to see you and hear from you. You were at the Mini Dome last night, which we'll get to in a second. Girls basketball game against Wilson. But you've been out and about in the community this past week. You found yourself up in North Mason for some wrestling. Where you been at?
Yeah, it was Tuesday night. I was up in North Mason. It was the boys basketball team hosting Port Angeles, and a fun game. Two players for North Mason stood out. Bryce Solis, a freshman, and Kevin Burrell-Briggs scored 18 points apiece, and they were down by about 11 at halftime, fought their way back, made it down in single digits, but then Port Angeles really took a toll in the fourth quarter, and they had a player who was really impressive, Lambros Rogers. I think he finished with around 14, 15 points, wow. And Port Angeles won that one 68-57, but North Mason hung in there and gave them all they got.
Very nice. And last night at the Mini Dome, it was Shelton girls basketball against Wilson, and ended up last night, Sean, the final score for that game was, what was that there?
That was 73-27. Wilson is one of the top teams in the state for 3A. So,
wow.
Yeah, it would have been a big upset for Shelton if they could have pulled that one out. But two players for Wilson that were really impressive were Josie Matt. She had 25 points, led all scorers in the contest, and Kira Knox had 17. Two players that I think will be playing college ball in the next couple of years.
Wow, very nice. Timber Ware for the high climbers with 13. Good on the lady climbers, and they're going to be in Central Kitsap this Friday.
Yep, they're on the road, and the boys will be hosting Central Kitsap, looking to snap a losing streak. They've lost a few in a row here, but they've been close in all those games. Lost a tough one to Capital last Friday, 51-50. So a big game for the boys here this Friday versus Central Kitsap.
Jordan Morris is making waves right now, and all indications are that the Sounders will be signing this young man. He's 21, went to Stanford, but he has local roots. Is that right?
Yeah, he's from Mercer Island. He was offered a contract by the Sounders after his freshman year of college, and he turned that down. He really enjoyed playing college ball. And I heard you mention earlier, he had a contract offer to play in Germany, but he also just recently turned that down. He wants to play in the States for an MLS team, and the Sounders have his rights. So the Sounders have the first go at him, and all indications are, like you mentioned, it sounds like he will sign today with Seattle. And this kid is a player. I mean,
really?
he plays a striker forward position. He has a knack for scoring goals. A young kid, I think under 21 years of age.
Oof.
And he just has a way to score. And Sounders are looking for that extra push, extra edge to go along with Clint Depps. Befemi Martin's up top, and boy, this is the kid that can bring that push as the Sounders are hoping to get back and win an MLS championship hopefully this season.
Yeah, very nice. Another story that I kind of want to talk with you a little bit about in the few minutes that we have left, and it's a real complex subject. But has implications all throughout the state, and it has to do with conferencing and 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, where schools are likely to find themselves as they get ready into the new school year. What is some background into how we're at a situation now where there's a lot of teams that are potentially moving around?
Yeah, we have over 20 schools looking to jump up from 3A to 4A, and that's a huge number. They changed the process this year from 2 years. It used to be they would reclassify these conferences and divisions. Now it's every 4 years. So it almost seems like teams want to make sure they're in the right place for these next coming 4 years. And that dictates where they want to jump to now. And it sounds like the Narrows League, which is where Shelton plays at currently, may be abolished after this season. A lot of teams trying to jump into the SPSL, and they could hold maybe up to as many as 16 teams.
Wow.
But as far as we know, Capital out of Olympia, they are looking to join District 4. That would be the Greater Mount St. Helens League. So a lot of teams have these appeals in at different leagues all over in these conferences. And the appeal process by the WIAA is January 24th and 25th. And it's really a domino effect. The appeal process, they will make a decision on a school, and that will dictate what happens with the next school. Where can they come to? Where can they apply to? Where can they get accepted to? And this is just, it's really interesting to see how this is all going to shake out. We won't know until about this time next week where these schools will be playing. And I mean, it's a big deal because there could, the Narrows League may still hang on for next year, but they may be as low as 5 teams in the league. There's 8 currently. 8's a great number, but there may be as low as 5. So then it would be, okay, scheduling. How does scheduling work? How can we play this many conference opponents? Because we got to fill a certain number to be playoff eligible. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out here this next week.
So is it first come, first serve then? I mean, if you get your appeal in first, you get first pick of where you want to go? Or do you know that yet?
That I don't really know.
Seems unfair? Or?
Yeah, I don't know how that's a good question, how the order is determined as far as who gets first priority, but I just don't know really how that is decided.
And then 5 teams in a league, that seems so, I mean, you play them twice in a season?
You maybe have to play them 3 times.
That's
it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out.
And so a benefit for a school to look to be a higher classification is what? Just more eyes on the school, better seating, standings, or what's?
I don't know if it's necessarily better, but like you said, it's different seating, different standings.
Where they take on the more prominent teams, maybe from Seattle area.
Maybe
get a better look.
But
more
3A,
recognized, I guess.
yeah, but 3A is just as well up there as 4A. I mean, some of the top basketball teams in the state are 3A. Rainier Beach, Garfield, and especially in football with Eastside Catholic and Bellevue. So it's not really a difference talent-wise, but it's just population-wise. These 4A schools have more kids, and if you are at a certain number, you have to play 4A. Whereas if you're below a number, you can appeal to jump up into a higher division, but you can't go down. So if you're at that cutoff line at 4A, you have to play 4A. But also, for the divisions 4A through 1A, each division has to have 65 schools. So the appeal process has to make sure they have the right amount of schools in each division. So some schools will be turned down. Not every school that appeals will get what they want here. So it's just a really tricky situation.
Wow. Well, come back in a week and let's talk about where we're a little more clarity maybe on this.
Yeah, hopefully I'll have some more answers for you.
Very interesting. And Sean's going to be at the Mini Dome tomorrow night for another video cast right around 7 o'clock. It's Boys versus Central Kitsap.
Yeah, that should be a fun one.
All right. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
It's 8:44 here now. We're going to take a quick break, a 1-minute break. When we come back, Mike Patty from Central Mason Fire and EMS, also City of Shelton Fire Marshal will be in to have a focus on Shelton.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom31.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom31.com. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom31.com.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Kornowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving baseline and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
All right, good morning to you. It's 8:47 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and we are happy to have in studio from Central Mason Fire and EMS, also the city's fire marshal, Mike Patty. Morning, Mike.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for inviting me today.
So we have got our focus on Shelton right now, brought to you by our community credit union, and we are talking. We talked a little bit about some different fire things earlier this morning. A conversation we had about someone who felt as though maybe their heater or was overheating in their
house.
Within the wall structure, and so even if it seems like that problem has subsided, there still could be a good amount of heat built in within the walls. Isn't that right?
Right. We've had a couple of chimney fires and a couple furnace fires this year where it's escaped from the appliance and got into the walls, and it happens a lot with older construction. Wood is, like paper, everything burns, and wood will start burning at about 450 degrees. Well, as this wood is close to the appliances and it's exposed to the heat, that ignition temperature over 20, 30 years will reduce. And that's why you start seeing the browning, the slight scorching of wood, and then it starts getting darker and darker, then you get char. And then one day at about 150, 180, 200 degrees, that wood will ignite. Actually, it's the charcoal that has degraded will ignite. Now we have a fire in the wall instead of a chimney fire or a furnace fire.
Oh, wow.
I even see like on my baseboard, not baseboard heaters, but they're little...
The little cadet heaters.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like charring on the metal also. Is that because it's after a while it's doing the same thing?
What you're seeing there is the dust that
burning
will accumulate and sits on those coils.
Yeah,
it's blown out by.
But then I even try to scrub it off, but it stains it, I guess. So okay, but that's still dangerous, right?
Yeah,
to have a buildup of dust.
Dust will ignite.
Yeah,
and dust will explode if you get that's why we're so fearful of, like when Simpson's mills and the plywood mills. That's why we're so cognizant of the issues and why we inspect all the time, is because dust explosions are a real common thing in woodworking facilities.
Oh, wow. I don't think I was aware of that. Interesting. Some other news stories. Nationally, there's big storms on the East Coast, and we always are talking about ways, people can stay safe without burning their propane tanks inside or within the garage. I haven't heard a lot stories. There was one earlier in the year, of last year about a fire, but recently we've been pretty quiet around town. Is that right?
Yeah, fire-wise, we've been really quiet, and we always say that the quieter it is, the closer we are to the next big fire.
Yeah.
So we're kind of like your Chicken Littles. We're always kind of saying the sky is falling, and we try to get the message out to the people that things are going good, but we're not going to be complacent. That's why we have firefighters on duty 24/7, 365.
Tuesday, we talked with 35th District Rep Dan Griffey, and he's a fire guy.
Yes, sir.
And so one of the things he said is the calls that he's been getting in the station are EMS calls, predominantly EMS calls.
We run about 85%, 87% medical with our fire district, as does most fire departments in the United States anymore. We've become, the guys don't like to hear it, but we've become more of an emergency medical agency that does an occasional fire.
Yeah.
But that's why we were so lucky to have the citizens allow us to renew our EMS levy last fall, and we've been able to put one new rebuilt ambulance on the road, and we'll be taking delivery of our second one in the next couple of weeks. So that'll give us those vehicles. We put the last one in service first part of October, and our maintenance staff just did their 10,000 mile checkup on it. So we put a lot of miles on those rigs really quick.
Yeah. There is often not a lot of interaction that you have with the public unless it's an emergency call. But you guys are always at the firehouse. There's always people there at any local firehouse. Are people encouraged to come by and meet the fire folks, or if the garage doors are open, you guys are open? Or how can someone who has a want to learn more about this know that someone's there and you guys are open to talk?
Well, we ran about 6,000 calls last year. 5,800, I think was the number. So we're a busy fire department. But anytime the doors are open, during office hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, at least our administrative staff would be there. We invite anybody to come in and look at it. We don't look at it as our fire station and our fire trucks. The citizens are allowing us to borrow them.
Right.
It's all citizens' property. It's all public property, and we're just fortunate to be in the position of being able to operate it. So yeah, by all means, come by the station. We'll be happy to show you our apparatus. We'll be happy to show you the facilities. We're very proud of the new station.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. There's a lot of cool things about it.
It really is.
So did you get a lot of calls on Sunday after the horrible moment?
It was surprising. We were surprised. We were kind of bracing for it, but no, it was
Okay.
a rather uneventful day for
So
us.
you didn't have to take yourself in after the game?
Nobody's so sad.
Wow. No, I watched it, and I felt just like all the rest of the Seahawk fans. It was kind of a letdown, but there's always got to be a winner, and there's always got to be somebody who didn't be quite successful.
Yeah, that's true.
Stunned disbelief for those first couple minutes of the game.
Yeah, 50 seconds. We got 14 points. They got 14 points on the board.
It's like, huh?
Yeah. What happened? Somebody please call our Seahawks and find out if they're still at the airport.
Yeah, get them. Yeah. The other thing was weird. I don't know if you saw it on the TV broadcast, but they were changing their cleats like within the middle of of their plays. I mean, people would run off the stages. We got to get some new cleats here. The ground is totally messed up.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they had a real tough problem with the turf.
Yeah. Very cool. Anything else that you'd like to add on to us here today?
You know, we were talking earlier about fire safety, and the big thing that we have a problem with now is candles. Not so much in Shelton or within our fire district, but statewide, we're always getting information about a fire that may have taken a life or may have done a lot of damage because people use candles in their house, not so much even for the power outages that we experience this time of year, but just for the aesthetics of it. Candles get away. They're an ignition source, and unless you have a chimney, the glass chimney around it, or it's on a stable surface, if you have pets, don't assume that the pet's going to stay away from the candle. If you have it near a window that you've got drapes, they catch fire, and that happens that's a very common occurrence, is catching the curtains on fire, and then it'll go up the wall and take off. So please, if you're using candles, I know a lot of folks love them. They like the vanilla and they like the cinnamon smell that it puts in your house, but your fire department cringes when we hear people are using candles. That's just the way we are. It's a fire waiting to happen.
Well, they do have all those new battery operated candles. I mean, I think my mom uses a lot of those, and they're so well made. Some of them, they look like candles. So,
and that's a good thing to use those. I mean, I'm not going to tell people to never use candles because there's a time for it. Just be vigilant when you've got them in the house.
There's been a couple times where we've gone rushed. Okay, so now is the perfect time to get out of the house. Everything is lined up, and we leave and we come back. Oh, thankfully we're not gone a long time, but minutes. I mean, it could take just minutes, but we'll come back and we'll see a candle that we have forgotten.
Yeah, it happens all the time. When I ask somebody who's had a house fire, well, I had a candle sitting right there. Well, when did you put it out? And they can't remember.
They can't remember.
Yeah.
Mike Patty, Central Mason Fire at EMS, Shelton's Fire Marshal. Thank you so much for coming in. Always good to see you.
It's good to see you folks as well.
For sure.
I'm real excited about the changes that you folks are going through.
Oh, thanks.
Glad to hear.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Things are looking up here. 8:55. We'll take a quick break and hear from the Old Farmer's Almanac, and then we'll wrap up the show here on this Thursday on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
It is the most difficult time of year to keep your car clean, but also the most important. Some winter care advice today from the Old Farmer's Almanac. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Thursday, January 21st, the 21st day of the year. Golf champ Jack Nicklaus and the legendary disc jockey Wolfman Jack were born on this day. If you live in the snow belt, you know what road salt and grime can do to your car's finish. Even after a thorough wash, it's not long before it's a rolling powdered donut again. So how often should you wash your car in the winter? Experts we surveyed agreed that twice a month is a good balance between protecting your car and depleting your pocketbook. They also recommend an outdoor temperature of 30 degrees or higher to prevent frozen door locks and seals. During extended cold snaps, use a do-it-yourself sprayer to knock the excess gunk from your wheel wells and undercarriage. That's the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Learn more and get our advice of the day at almanac.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. Getting ready to wrap things up here on a Thursday, the 21st of January. Tomorrow is Friday, TGIF.
TGIF. What do you know about that?
Just that I'm glad that it's Friday. Big conversations tomorrow. Dr. Alex Apostle at 8:15. See how he's doing. Fresh off the heels last week's Graduation Matters was such a wonderful event, and I think still riding high off the just immense amount of community response. Saturday, there is another Master Gardener's workshop at Memorial Hall. Jeannie Raywald's going to be in to talk with us about the program, and it's really informational and something fun to do. Carol and I got to go to the compost one a couple weeks ago, And I had a gazillion questions on compost. I mean, I got into it. I wanted to start doing it. And then the more research I did, the more it felt like it wasn't worth it. But going to this class at Memorial Hall really showed that it's not that complicated, one. And two, the benefits, like when you can get some of your own black gold, if you will, some of this good soil to get you moving on into next year. It's pretty cool. So Jeannie Ray Walton at 7:30. The program is not on compost. That was just the one that we went to. They've got some good ones on throughout.
She'll tell us more about that tomorrow.
Yeah,
what's
for sure.
going on.
Steve Kramer will be in with his fishing report, hunting report. Chuck Devine will stop by doing a ski report, and seeing a lot of news on the WSDOT website about the passives being closed. There's avalanche dangers on I-90. So they're getting a lot of snow up in the mountains. And Chuck will have a great ski report, make you want to head out there.
Yeah, just check the roads before you go to find out if you can actually get there.
Definitely. 8:59 ABC News reporting that Microsoft wants to replace some of those Surface Pro power cords. They think there may be some overheating, and that was one of the big gifts. Oh, yeah, that's right. Gifts over the summer.
Right.
Christmas, I should say. That these Surface Pro tablets, like a laptop tablet thing, we'll have that news with ABC coming up next. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back tomorrow.
All right, Jeff.
Bye, Carol.
Bye.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
The Chad Benson Show, live